p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akua, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, hello and welcome to GB News. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. And for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's yours, and of course it's theirs. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will not disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So very exciting. We've got a big show packed for you and lots of fabulous panellists. So joining me for the next few hours, broadcaster and journalist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Coming up in my niggle, I'll be taking on greedy junior doctors. They're being warned that they could lose public trust for good if they strike again. And a news poll shows more people now oppose further walkouts than support them. Then, for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, is Macron right? The Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis. On his state visit to the UK, President Macron said that the referendum results has caused chaos at our borders.
Many people in your country explained that Brexit would make it possible to fight more effectively against illegal immigration, but it's in fact since Brexit that the UK has no migratory agreement with the EU.
So I've got a poll up on gbnews.com asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? Cast your vote now. There's protests again across the UK calling for the de-prescription of Palestine action, with activists told to bring burner phones and Ben Leo is there now.
Hello Nana, good afternoon from a very sunny and beautiful central London. Just down the road from the pro-Palestine action protest. We had to, in honesty, scarf her away because I was doing a live hit at the door maybe 15 minutes ago. It was getting a little bit tetchy, the atmosphere was retching up a little bit, and after I finished that live hit, and you can watch it on YouTube on Catch Up so you can see kind of the precursor to what happened, suddenly, from nowhere, like a swarm of ants, is the only way I can describe it, we were surrounded, the crew and I, myself, cameraman Jim, and yeah, it all got a bit aggressive. There were arrests, people led away in handcuffs, so I've had to take refuge down the road. Anyway, more of that tonight, Ben Leo tonight from 9 p.m. Lots of good footage you won't want to miss.
Plus, as the UK is hit by another heat wave, should you be paying more for your water? Well, despite parts of the country facing hosepipe bans, water companies will now use smart meters to increase prices in the summer. And in my difficult conversations, joining me, the Black Widow herself, who's taken a lie detector to prove that she wasn't responsible for the fatal shooting of a violent and controlling lover, Ron Cook, 30 years ago, will bring you the results. But before we get started, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.
Very good afternoon to you. The top story from the newsroom at 3. Well, it is breaking news that Donald Trump has again revealed fresh tariffs. This time, the EU and Mexico are set to face 30% tariffs on imports to the US. He warns of even higher taxes if countries retaliate to those tariffs, set to start on the 1st of August. The announcement came in letters posted to Truth Social, with similar letters also sent to other countries. The president has slammed the EU for its persistent trade deficits and unfair practices, calling the relationship far from reciprocal. Well, we have just had a line from the European Commission's Ursula von der Leyen in response to those tariffs, saying we will take all necessary steps to safeguard EU interests, including, she says, proportionate countermeasures if required. So it appears there will be a intensifying trade conversation between the EU and the US in coming days. Also breaking this hour, more than 1,200 migrants have crossed the Channel since the UK and France signed a new returns deal on Thursday. This morning alone, at least 300 were seen making that attempt, with a Border Force vessel landing in Dover carrying 68 on board. Maritime sources say hundreds more are still in the water, most nearing UK shores. The deal was hailed by the Prime Minister as historic, but critics say it's too limited to act as a real deterrent. The Home Office insists, though, it is part of a wider crackdown to dismantle smuggling gangs and secure Britain's borders. A new report has revealed the engines on the Air India Flight 171 were cut off just before it crashed, killing at least 260 people. 53 British nationals were on board that flight, headed for Gatwick. Cockpit audio has shown confusion, with one pilot questioning why the other did the cut-off. Experts say it's nearly impossible for both fuel switches to be pulled accidentally. The sole survivor, a British national, escaped through a hole in the fuselage. The airline is now fully cooperating with investigators as they analyse that flight data, along with post-mortem reports. Here, the Department for Transport has called it a tragic accident and says it will review the Indian authorities' findings. Labour's ties with one of its biggest union backers are under threat, with Unite's boss saying Angela Rayner's behaviour over the Birmingham bin strikes is utterly abhorrent. Sharon Graham claims the Deputy Prime Minister is aiding and abetting fire and rehire tactics, and confirmed Unite has voted to suspend her membership. The union's conference also backed a move to re-examine its affiliation to Labour, a relationship worth hundreds of thousands of pounds each year. Angela Rayner, though, says she actually resigned from the union back in April. The BBC is facing a dilemma over whether to air the next series of MasterChef. It's already been filmed and still has Greg Wallace in it. He has apologised for using inappropriate language, but denies serious claims of misconduct. It's after an investigation by the show's producers is continuing, and the BBC says it won't be commenting until the findings are published. Former contestants, though, say shelving the show would be devastating. Update from the Middle East, and ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas are on the brink of collapse, reportedly, with negotiators in Doha accusing Israel of stalling to buy time during Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the United States. Palestinian officials say Israel sent a delegation there with no authority to agree on any key issues. The proposed deal would see Hamas release half of living hostages and some of those who've died during a 60-day truce. Mediators, though, warn the process is hanging by a thread and could collapse without urgent American intervention. And you may well have noticed, yes, the UK is in the grip of its most widespread heatwave of the summer so far. The sunshine is certainly dominating again today. Scotland has already seen its highest temperature of the year so far, and Northern Ireland could also see its hottest day of the year. An amber heat health alert, though, is in place for much of England. High UV, very high pollen levels and wildfires spreading across parts of the UK. At Wimbledon, play has been interrupted and centre court is expected to hit 32 degrees today, while hosepipe bans are affecting more than 7 million people and could soon extend across most of the country. You're up to date just after 3 o'clock. I'll be back in around 30 minutes' time. Now, though, it's over to Nana.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good afternoon and welcome. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. It's just gone 8 minutes after 3 o'clock. I'm Nana Akua. We've got so much to talk about today. We're starting with Sir Keir Starmer. He's rallying his cabinet at Chequers. Behind the scenes, talk of a reshuffle is growing, with Unite suspending Angela Rayner, although apparently she had already quit the union by then. Should the Deputy Prime Minister be binned from the cabinet? Then, for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? On his state visit to the UK, President Macron said that the referendum result has caused chaos at the border, and the 12th of July is here, marking King William's III's victory at the Battle of Boyne. We're checking in with our Northern Ireland reporter later throughout this hour. All of that is on the way. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/your say. Right, so protesters are calling for the de-prescription of the Palestine Action Group. They've been told to go floppy if arrested and to bring burner phones. It comes as groups gather across the country in a series of demonstrations supporting the proscribed terror group. In a leaked memo detailing plans, participants are also told to bring books to read in case they are put in cells. Right, let's speak to GB News' Ben Leo, who joins us live from Westminster. So Ben, talk to me, what's it like there? It looks a bit empty there, doesn't look like anyone's there.
Yeah, hello Nana, good afternoon. It is empty because we were forced to pretty much take refuge, and actually credit to the Met Police, I've just tweeted about it. After my last live hit with Dawn about maybe 40 minutes ago, it was getting slightly tetchy there was aggression sort of ramping up, people grabbing and shoving and so on, especially when I told them we were from GB News. They didn't seem to like that for some reason. But as soon as I came off air with Dawn, almost like a swarm of ants surrounded me and the crew, Jim the cameraman, the back watcher as well, the security guard who had with us, and the Met Police were forced to.
So we can hear you, because we can't hear you very well.
Can you hear me? 1, 2, can you hear me now, Nana? Can you hear me?
Listen, carry on, it's all good.
Okay, we were rescued by the Met Police, basically. In terms of arrests, there were people here holding placards. Those who were arrested were holding placards saying they support Palestine Action, which of course have been prescribed as a terrorist organisation. Over the RAF Bryce Norton attack, everybody who was holding a placard was arrested. Some went amicably, they were led out by their hands and handcuffed. Others who refused to go did what organisers of this protest directed them to do, which was to go lifeless, to have their whole body weight on the ground, and police officers were forced to bundle them into waiting meat wagons. But credit to the Met Police, they acted. Supporting prescribed organisations is illegal, and they were swiftly dealt with.
All right, Ben Leo, thank you very much for joining us. He's there at the Palestine Action protest. We'll sort out the audio so that you can hear him clearly next time round. But just 11 minutes after 3 o'clock, if you just tuned in, you've missed all the chaos here, you've missed all the best bits. Could a cabinet reshuffle save the Labour Party? Reports suggest the Prime Minister is planning a shake-up to restore his authority following a tumultuous year in office. I think he's going to need a lot more than that. I don't think that's the problem. I think it's all of them. It comes as Angela Rayner is suspended by Labour's largest union donor, Unite, over the recent Birmingham bin strike, although it was claimed that she had actually already left the union. The union has also announced it will review its relationship with the Labour Party overall. Well, joining me now is political commentator Matthew Stadlen. Matthew, OK, so Angela Rayner, she's at odds with the bin strike. She didn't appear to be wanting to help out in that area, even though she's come out with the workers' reform bill and all this stuff that she's trying to get passed. What do you think? What do you make to Labour's relationship with the unions? Do you think that actually some of the policies that they're creating, like, for example, VAT on private schools, a lot of teachers may well be out of work, that they're not in sync with Labour's initial sort of grounding and where it came from as a party?
Well, certainly as far as Angela Rayner is concerned and the Unite Union, it feels strained, to say the least, doesn't it? But this is a really important summer, I think, for Keir Starmer. I mean, Angela Rayner is independently elected, as I understand it, as deputy leader of the Labour Party. So she sort of stands distinct from Starmer and the leadership team. So she's got a sort of, I would imagine, a fairly strong base there. But more widely and more importantly, Labour has to do a lot of hard thinking over the summer holidays about how it is going to get itself back on track, because there's no denying it's been a very sticky first year.
Disaster.
That's your view. I wouldn't go as far as to say disastrous, but what I would say is it made one or two mistakes politically and arguably policy-wise. I was critical of the winter fuel allowance policy from very early on. Took a long time for them to row back on that. And when they did row back on it, they didn't do it particularly effectively. No. So Starmer needs to think very hard about how he can re-engage with the British public, because you just look at the poll ratings. The poll ratings have stubbornly been in the 20s. At the moment, I think they're in the low 20s. You've got Reform, which is a party of, what is it now, 4 MPs again, because they've lost another one for the moment, leading in the polls. That is an extraordinary set of affairs. That a party that only has 4 elected representatives in Parliament is beating a party that won with a landslide after
a massive majority.
Shallow landslide, but massive majority after 14 years out of power. Now, this wasn't entirely unpredicted, Nana, was it? Because you had voices before the last election saying that Starmer maybe had a couple of years to show the British public that he could change things a bit for the better. And if he was unable to do that, then this country, or a proportion of this country, would lurch to the right, harder right than the Conservatives. And that's what we've already seen. So this challenge to Starmer has happened much more quickly even than it was predicted.
Although some people would say, and I've heard critics now saying that Nigel Farage is turning a bit more centrist in some of his policies. So, for example, privatisation of water. Well, I know that I'm with him, that I think it should be owned by the people. So, in some areas, the Reform Party seem to be going more to the left.
Well, Farage at the moment has the luxury of both being relatively popular. I say relatively because he's only Reform are still only, and I say only, it's remarkable. I've already accepted that a party with 4 MPs is getting 30% and beating the party in power. But it is only 30%, so 70% of the population are not in favour of reform at the moment. But he nonetheless, because he's in opposition, because there are 4 years to go, and they're not in power, he has the luxury of picking and choosing it. Just for example, look at the 2-child benefit cap. So he said he would reverse that. So in one sense, he's to the left of the Labour Party. So quite where they stand, whether you consider them on the hard right, on the left in some ways, the word I would use is populist. They are trying to use policies that they think will appeal to the broadest number of people. And it's a fascinating situation.
Reform or Labour?
Well, there's no doubt that some Labour voters who voted Labour this time last year have shifted to Reform, and Starmer's going to have to work very hard to get them back. But the challenge for Starmer, if we're just talking politically, policy-wise, he's got to get the country back on track, and that's not easy.
He's got to get the country back.
But politically, he's got to worry about the right, but he's also got to worry about the left.
I just want to pull you up on something when you said that, they've only got these number of MPs. Remember that they came second to Labour in at least 98 regions of this country when the voting took place. So Labour pipped them to the post on a few. So it's our electoral system that has meant that they only had that many MPs. Remember, they also had 4 million votes as opposed to 3.5 million from the Liberal Democrats, who ended up with 70-something seats.
That's a perfectly reasonable point. It's a perfectly reasonable point, and it perhaps indicates that it's not as big a surprise as you might immediately think. Nonetheless, for a party with only 4 MPs to be consistently beating the party in power is extraordinary, particularly, as I say, when that party has been out of power for so long and when people were hoping, There was no great enthusiasm for Labour in this country. It was much more, I think, about getting rid of the Tories.
Oh, there was from the likes of Carol Vorderman. Get them out! She did everything. She's now doing a reverse turn.
Leaving her out of it for a second, I think a lot of people either stayed at home and refused to vote Tory,
that's right,
or voted Labour because they wanted to get the Tories out. What I'm saying is there was no great enthusiasm for Starmer or Labour, and so it's perhaps not surprising that they are now suffering as they are in the polls.
What about the reshuffle, though? He's thinking of doing a reshuffle.
I don't think it will make that much difference.
It won't make any.
The idea is that it's going to shore him up within his own parliamentary party because he lost a lot of political clout and respect, arguably, because of the welfare shambles. And it was a shambles. He took his eye off the ball and he allowed a situation to get to the point where a flagship policy was not able to get off the ground. And on the policy of this, there clearly is an issue with welfare in this country. Clearly there are some people, too many people, who could work, and certainly who could work if they got more help, for example, with mental health support, but who are not working. And the question is, how do you turn that oil tanker around at the same time as not making the instrument so blunt that people who are genuinely vulnerable and really need, for example, PIP, manage to get the support they need? That is such a difficult policy to get right, and so far the Labour government has failed to get it right.
They've failed pretty much everything, haven't they? They've U-turned on almost everything. We're just waiting. Well, let me finish. I did listen to your little monologue. No, they have U-turned on pretty much everything, haven't they? Winter fuel allowance, which they didn't put in their manifesto, they've done that. The only thing that they really should be U-turning on, I think, is the farmers and the VAT raid on private schools, which has seen now over 60 schools closing or 40 schools or whatever it is, 6,000 pupils trying to find another place now, disrupting many lives of children. And they're U-turning on pretty much the U-turn on the welfare. We'd like to see them U-turn on Chagos, very stupid plan. I mean, that's not very clever, is it? Why are you giving away a piece of land and you're going to pay for it and then you're going to rent it back? We can't afford that anyway. Very unwise to be doing that.
Wages are doing better than they have been. So
yes,
so they're trying to tackle the cost of living.
Well, not really, because what they're going to do is they're going to tax people, aren't they? So they're going to leave the tax cap where it is, and then as your wage rises, you'll land in a higher tax bracket.
As a consequence of the welfare shambles, and it was a shambles both politically and policy-wise, there may well be tax rises in the autumn. I don't think that's going to make them much more popular than they already are. We need leadership where a Prime Minister is able to explain to the country why we are where we are, but also to give us some optimism. And that's what he's got to think hard about over this summer. They are still trying to build these houses, the 1.5 million houses. They are trying to make the economy greener. They are trying to spend more money on defence. They are shoring up international relations and making sure that we get on better with our international partners. It hasn't been all bad, but they've made some flagship mistakes and they've got to get their act together.
Well, good luck to them, because I can't see that happening anytime soon. Matthew Stadland, thank you very much. Yes, well, that's... What do you think? gbnews.com/you'll say. Will a cabinet reshuffle help, or is it just simply shuffling the deck chairs on the Titanic? Well, there's plenty more and plenty of chance to grab your biggest cash prize ever, £54,321. Here are the details that you need.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life, and it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year, to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. 21 minutes after 3 o'clock. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Still to come, my niggle this week. I'll be talking about the greedy junior doctors. They're being warned that they could lose public trust for good if they strike again. As a new poll shows, more people now post further walkouts than support them. But next, it's time for the Great British Debate This Hour. And I'm asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? What is...
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now imagine this. You spend your entire life dreaming of public service. You work your way up to become the Director of Public Prosecutions. You then become a Member of Parliament, and just next to your constituency is a world-famous museum hosting
I'm imagining it, Tom.
waxworks of famous figures, and you dream that one day you will be featured in this mausoleum, for want of a better word. You become Prime Minister, and you think now, Finally, my waxwork will be on display at the world-famous Madame Tussauds. And then they say no.
And then you find out that Theresa May has one.
Oh.
Yes, so Madame Tussauds... There's Theresa May. There she is in her suit.
Yeah,
she was always one for colourful outfits,
Theresa May has a waxwork there, so does Boris Johnson, of course. It's reasonable to expect the Prime Minister would have thought that he would join the likes of David Cameron, Theresa May and Boris Johnson with a waxwork.
Winston Churchill. Yeah. Winston Churchill has one. Harold Macmillan, apparently, was previously displayed. Tony Blair.
Of course.
Tony Blair, of course. But apparently, so Madame Tussauds can't be sure that he'll still be relevant in 5 years' time. That's the reason.
Is that why they've said it? No.
They can't be sure, so they don't want to put the money into it, presumably.
Wow.
I could imagine Keir Starmer commissioning his own.
And yet, Lord Salisbury had a waxwork, the Marquis of Salisbury.
He did.
Harold Macmillan,
yeah,
David Lloyd George, of course. But the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland...
Think about this.
...does not have a waxwork because he's not relevant.
A spokesperson told the Metro, "We have no current plans to make a figure of the British Prime Minister."
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, 26 minutes after 3 o'clock. If you just tuned in, welcome. I'm Nana Akua, and it's time now for the first Great British Debate of this hour. And I'm asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? Now, on his state visit to the UK, President Macron said that the referendum result has caused chaos at our borders.
You need to understand that since Brexit, and I'm saying all this quite honestly, I know it's not your case, Prime Minister, but many people in your country explained that Brexit would make it possible to fight more effectively against illegal immigration. But it's in fact since Brexit that UK has no migratory agreement with the EU. In fact, therefore, for candidates for the crossing, those alternative legal admission route, nor a readmission scheme after a crossing, it creates an incentive to make the crossing the precise opposite what the Brexit has promised.
So he was, of course, speaking after the UK signed a returns deal with France. It wasn't 1 in, 1 out. It was 94% in, 4% out, and then even they can hang about and have appeals and so on and so forth. But GB News can also reveal that more than 1,200 small boat migrants crossed the Channel since that little discussion and that deal that they did. And this morning, at least 300 migrants are attempting to cross illegally. So for the great British debate, I'm asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? Well, joining me now, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. She's in the studio. Yay! All right, I might as well start with Fahima, shall I? Because, you know, Fahima, so Macron did a bit where he spoke in French so that none of us could understand. And then he kind of blamed Brexit for the migrant crisis. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's always going to be a bit of dissent. The fact that, you know, the UK left the EU, and we wanted to take back control, but we lost allies. We lost tools to manage. We lost even the watch list. That's why these gangs and criminals are moving freely. And I also think that we lost the point of certainly the Dublin Agreement, and the Channel has now opened up for the Irish Seas. And I do feel that when there was more collaboration between EU and Britain, now that is gone, I think they are not really that willing, because there's no safe route back as it was before because of Brexit. So it's not just about migration, it's also economics, it's also about the low-skilled workers that have gone, it's also about the, you know, the borders that are bringing in. It's not just about getting rid of migration, it's a different type of migration that's now coming in. And I think it's different where if we were more closely with Brexit, with EU, instead of having Brexit, it would be so much better that we could actually have a sort of systemic and systematic sort of way in which both sort of, you know, whether it's like the watch list, the EU intel, the Europol, we could have shared those kind of intels much more better and actually have much more control over what's happening at this very moment.
Do you not think that's a little bit childish of them? No,
it's not.
No, hold on. Because they could have just worked with us because it's wise. What is the wise thing to do would be to work with the United Kingdom, whether we are in or out of the EU, which we are entitled to not be in. Would it not be wiser for them to look at the situation and say, well, look, if we did a returns policy, then in the end, they would stop coming to France as well, because that's why they're coming. However, they need the agreement of all the other 26...
They're coming into France to get to the UK.
No, but they need 26 of the EU states to agree anyway, don't they? That's why we left.
Exactly. That's why we left. It's called freedom.
Yes.
Freedom. And you know what? Macron, my blood was boiling, Nana, and I know it's hot out there, but I was livid, fuming. The arrogance of the man, the arrogance. He's there. Shows no manners. I hope he picked up a book of, etiquette on his way home back to France, because he walks in front of the king, he does a wink to Princess Catherine, and then he lectures and moralises over us on our own UK policies. And he blames Brexit. He's also, let's just remember, insulting half of the country that voted for Brexit. Doesn't he look at himself? He's taken £800 million of our money to help with this crisis, which it is. And as far as I can see, the French have barely got their feet wet, Nana. It's a disgrace.
But one of the points that he has made, which I would agree with, is that he says that we are too generous. And that is a problem. We are. Why are we giving people, when they come here, here's a new phone, here's a new SIM card, here is this, here is that. It's like, hold on a minute. Yeah. What about the British people? They're not offering those things in those countries. So in France, they get a tent.
Yeah, well, France will get a tent. Greece has just said, no more, that's it.
Exactly.
No one from North Africa, because we're weak. And as, you know, he showed Keir Starmer up. You know, it was a state visit, and he showed our Prime Minister up.
Hang on, whose side are you on?
Oh, no, I'm on neither of them.
I
thought he was very disrespectful. I thought he was very disrespectful, Macron, the way he spoke. I thought totally disrespectful when he's on a state visit. His behaviour was atrocious. I'm glad he's gone back. I don't want to see him again. And the amount of patting of backs and slapping each other, they did over 28 hugs.
As if they're doing a good job for him.
Well, you know what? The UK is not soft. It just needs to tighten up in its processes and the way in which it would actually do things better. I think it shows humanitarian, it shows a better sense of the way in which the everyone thinks of the UK as being sort of, the caring person that actually, when they, basically talk against other countries for not having these things, we actually take the lead in that. But yes, if it is taken advantage of course. But again, it's about the processes. We need to be much quicker at processing these kind of things, tighten up the way in which we are looking at immigration.
But what difference will it make? Because when people come through, what is it? We've got 80%, or is it 90% of people who come here illegally or via whatever route get to stay? So what process do we need?
That means that they are actually legitimate.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It means
yes, it is.
Well, no, I think I'd look to disagree with that. It looks to me like they just need to get the backlog down, so they'll literally do anything to show that they've processed.
I'm sorry, we are not a charity. The first order of any government is to look after its own people. We don't know who's coming in. We don't know if they're terrorists. We don't know their backgrounds. They're criminals. They are mainly men coming over. And my lovely hotel near my little village is full of all sorts. The school can't even let the kids walk past her anymore. It's scary and it's not fair.
All right, Fahima Mohammed and Lizzie Kandi, if you just tuned in, welcome. 32 minutes after 3 o'clock, you're with me. I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Still to come, my niggle. This week, I'll be talking about greedy junior doctors. But next, it's time for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, should Angela Rayner be binned from the Cabinet? First, let's get your latest news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good afternoon to you. 3:30, the top story. President Donald Trump has announced a 30% tariff on imports from the EU, dashing hopes of a deal. He warns of even higher taxes if countries retaliate. The tariff set to start on the 1st of August. More than 1,200 migrants have crossed the Channel since the UK and France signed a new returns deal this week. This morning alone, at least 300 attempted the crossing. Sources have told GB News hundreds more are still on their way across. New details have emerged on the crash of Air India Flight 171. Cockpit audio has revealed confusion as the engines were cut off moments before the crash. The sole survivor, a British national, escaped through a hole in the fuselage. Britain's oldest World War II veteran and D-Day hero has died at the age of 110. Donald Rose is being paid tribute to with flags flying at half-mast. And ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas are on the brink of collapse, with negotiators accusing Israel of stalling. Palestinian officials say Israel sent a delegation to Doha with no authority to make a deal. And the UK's third heatwave is peaking today. Temperatures already hitting top temperatures up to 34 degrees in parts of the country. There are wildfire warnings, though, in place for Scotland and Northern Ireland, with the heat also disrupting Wimbledon. You're up to date. More from me at the top of the hour.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good afternoon and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in from the west. So cloudier skies, especially across the southwest of England with the odd shower. And then that leads into a more unsettled start on Monday and Tuesday with showers, longer spells of rain, temperatures generally returning to average.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, 38 minutes after 3 o'clock. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel. Don't forget as well, you can download the show or download stuff. Check out YouTube, download the GB News app and have a look at the programmes and everything that we've got to offer on the channel. But it's time now for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, should Angela Rayner be binned from the Cabinet? Reports suggest that the Prime Minister is planning a shake-up to restore his authority following a tumultuous year in office. And I think he's trying to save his premiership. I'm sorry, I think it is too late. It is just complete and utter shambles. And if that doesn't work, one person measuring the curtains in Downing Street is supposedly Angela Rayner. But the Deputy Prime Minister is in hot water after Labour's largest union donor, Unite, suspended her membership over the recent Birmingham bin strike, although, to be fair to Angela Rayner, apparently she had already rescinded her membership anyway. The union also announced that it will review its relationship with the Labour Party overall. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, should Angela Rayner be binned from the Cabinet? Well, joining me now, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Right, Lizzie Cundy.
Yes, she should be binned. And, well, she's been binned by Unite the Union. She should be binned by the Cabinet. Once again in trouble. Every week, Labour in trouble, plummeting in the polls. We had Rachel Reeves having a little ugly cry in Parliament behind Keir Starmer last week. Now we've got Rayner. It's one thing after another, and it's never ending. And I'm afraid, you know, she's promised the world to the unions. That's what she's done. She is such a hypocrite, and she hasn't delivered. And I'm actually with the bin workers here. I actually feel sorry for them. My friends in Birmingham, it's an absolute disgrace. It's a health hazard. In this heat, the stench from the rubbish. They've got rats bigger than cats. This is no joke. It's absolutely a disgrace. And you know what? She's been a member there for 10 years. She asked for 10,000 for the election off them. You know, she's promised them the world. And she deserves to go. And, you know, she said, oh, no, I left in April. Well, she smelt the coffee. She could hear the sound of the music. That's why she had to go.
Well, partly possibly because she was being a bit of a hypocrite as well with her workers' rights bill, where she's saying that she wants to get rid of fire and rehire. Now, I actually agree with that. That's true. However, what was happening is the bin workers, where they were going to lose about £8,000 off their salary and then be hired back with that bit missing. Yeah. So that is fire and rehire, and she didn't really back it. Fahima?
Well, the bin crisis wasn't caused by one woman with a working class accent. I think it's years of cuts, collective council failings and political blame games. And if we're going to get rid of Angela Rayner, then we should get rid of half of Westminster, if that's the case.
I would like to.
With the fact that, you know, with dodging taxes, with lying about, you know, kind of like COVID, and so much more that is constant within the political system right now. I think, yes, like her or not, but at the same time, it is more to do with a government that has landslided into power, taken advantage, not realising that actually they were supposed to be there for the people. And even though it had the majority, now with everything that's happening and also the fear of reform to an extent, even though it has such a few membership in members of parliament, I think they are having to look at politics in the UK slightly different. She does represent everyday people. What we're going to have
I don't think she does.
Well, with her upbringing, with her history, with the way in which we want another sort of politician from private school to come there.
That just because she's got a more northern approach or a more northern accent, or she
it's lived experience,
was a single mum and all the things, you know, which just because that doesn't qualify her to necessarily represent. And some of the
people look at Nigel Farage
some of
in
the
that way.
things that she has said are ridiculous. I mean, did you see the interview with Trevor Phillips when she was asked about the housing? And she seemed to be confused about. She wasn't really very good at economics.
It's loads of people.
It's not. Yes, I would say it's pretty much most of the Labour front bench. I felt that she was quite embarrassing because she didn't really know her brief and she didn't really know what she was saying. There was another one when Andrew Neil interviewed her and asked her about taxes, and she didn't. She said she was talking about business rates or something going up. Then he said, which taxes really? And she couldn't answer the question because she just has sound bites, I think.
It's embarrassing. They're not up to the job, Dana. That's why. And I'm afraid the one to blame is Keir Starmer. He's the one that's put them in their positions, and they're not. They're inept. And you know. She has bleated and gone on. You know, she's very gobby when she was, you know, before she got in power, you know, saying she was going to do this, do that. And it was all for the working people. And all they've done is hurt the working people. Who else are they going to upset? They've upset, what, the pensioners, the police, businesses, the farmers, private schools, you know, the hospitality industry. It's on its knees. I've got another pub near me that's having to close. One a day is closing. Who else are they going to hurt? They said they're for the working people. You know what? They lied.
Let's not forget about the national insurance tax on employers, which means that, of course, they are hiring fewer people, so it's completely anti-growth.
I think there's many factors, and I think every political party will always have scrutiny, and we are fixated on this particular one because, obviously, it's not the kind of favourite for reporting right now. But, yes, it has got a lot of things that they have tried to rectify by the U-turns, whether you like it or not. They are trying to rectify. And I think nowadays the politics is so different where people are standing up to speak and they have to be heard. So it's not like before where it was such a distance between Parliament and people level on the ground. And I think that's the shift that even the new sort of Labour government is trying to get used to, which never happened before.
Well, it was because before they could lord it all over us and we couldn't have anywhere to reply. But now we can have a go at them on social media, and social media is more powerful than them, and they do not control the mainstream media anymore. But to be fair to them, the mainstream media, even they have turned against Labour in many of the, when you listen to some of the questions they're asking now, they're not so friendly.
Now their own unions are turning against them, and Keir Starmer's going to be worried. It's a very worrying time for Labour, and they are plummeting in the polls, and reform, whether you like it or not, are going to the top.
All right, well, I mean, of course, the Labour Party would argue that they did win this election. They had a landslide, a number of seats, never been seen before in that manner, and they have complete control of whatever decisions. However, they could end up like the Tory party, eating themselves from the inside out and voting against themselves, which is what seems to be happening. But listen, I know it's beautiful here in the UK. Most people probably want to stay. But if you do want to go to some European destination, then here is the forecast.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast. It's hot and sunny for the Greek islands at the moment, and plenty of hot sunshine in southern parts of Spain and Portugal too. But for northern Spain and northern Portugal, a bit more cloud coming in off the Atlantic and some outbreaks of rain possible here. Small chance of a shower in Catalonia as well, but some heavy showers likely over Italy, particularly affecting Rome. There's that sunshine in Greece, which will continue into next week, and the showers in Rome should clear away and temperatures will be rising here into next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GBNews Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua, and today is the 12th of July, the annual event marking King William III's victory at the Battle of Boyne. Today is marked as a bank holiday in Northern Ireland, with crowds lining the streets to attend parades across the region. GB News reporter Doogie Beattie is in Coleraine for the festivities. Doogie, how's it going?
Well, it has went very well. I mean, the parade started just about 11 o'clock this morning. It was the Coleraine district that led it out. Many other districts went through it. Londonderry district finished the parade off. As you can see in the street behind me, thousands of people are now moving off to the field where those lodges and bands will hear speeches and sermons. And most of it is about their British culture, their British history, and celebrating who they are and exactly exactly what made them. Because you talked about King William III, and of course he introduced many things, including the Bill of Rights, the Bank of England, not a tax shall be raised or a law passed without the assent of Parliament. All those things, the first constitutional monarchy, the only joint monarchy that actually existed in Britain, all came from the 1688 to 1691 rebellion. And of course it helped shape, and this is the important thing, the new world of the United States of America, and it can actually be argued that it caused the revolution in America. So it has been a fabulous day here. The weather has been absolutely on fire. Everyone has enjoyed themselves, and there is more and more parades going on, not only around Northern Ireland, but of course in the UK. Liverpool at Southport today have their parades. Scotland had theirs last weekend, and probably about 5 o'clock this evening they will parade back across, down through the Diamond and Coleraine and back home to their various lodges. But what a fabulous day.
All right, well, that was Dugabiti earlier in Northern Ireland. Right, listen, lots of you have been getting in touch with your thoughts and your views. Let's see what we've got. Debbie, we're talking to us. Debbie Big Bird got in touch. Now, she, joining me, Fahima Mohammed and also Lizzie Cundy, she said, we're talking about Keir Starmer there, she said, don't talk, how could anyone, don't talk wet, as in, you know, wet type person. How could anyone be worse? My dog could do better than Starmer and that lot. And Kemi's a waste of space. And if you vote Lib Dems, you're more nutter than leader.
I think we're going to end up with a coalition government, really.
No, I don't think so. I don't think any of them will want to join with each other at all. What else have I got? Christine says, Nana, yes, Nana, get rid of Rayner and the rest of the front bench. Not one of them know what they are doing.
Yeah, that's very true. They keep showing themselves up, though. It's so embarrassing. They're just not up for the job. And as I say again, the crux lies with Keir Starmer. He's the one that put them in those positions. They're not up to the job.
This one's for you, Lizzie. It's from Richard Stevens. Richard says, Lizzie should be in the cabinet. So attractive, especially when she's angry.
Ooh, Richard. Yes, I am very angry. I was so angry when I saw Macron. I was actually fuming. I was just so livid. And then he walks in front of our king. Don't walk in front of our king, Macron.
I know. Yeah, Dominic Needle says the electorate will decide. Paul says get rid of all of this parliament. What do you think, Fahima?
No, absolutely not. As much as they have lots of criticism, I don't see it being any different to any other government that's always been there. And I do think that we still need to give it more time. We are still trying to undo the 14 whatever years that Conservative has come in. It doesn't just take, 12 months to redo things. And also, we need to obviously understand that when you're in government, you might pick on these figures, but there's a whole sort of bunch of people behind them that's also still calling the shots. It is so different when you're standing there. Even when you say, oh, they're not writing their actual speeches. Of course they're not. There are different people that are actually able to do that.
You're saying that's okay?
Not. That's how it... No, it's not okay, but that's how it works.
He didn't even read it himself. He didn't even understand it.
He didn't read it and he didn't understand it.
And then he backtracked on it, and it was the only one good thing he actually did say, and then he backtracked
But they all have meetings and they agree with it, and that's how it works behind the parliament and in the scenes. If you go in there and you understand and the research and what's been done, that's how it works, unfortunately.
They've done more U-turns than any government ever, more U-turns than a Top Gear DVD.
Correcting mistakes.
Well, listen, it doesn't work, though, and it isn't working, is it, because of all those U-turns? But stay with me, because next, in my niggle, I'll be talking about the greedy junior doctors. They're being warned that they could lose public trust for good if they strike again. And stay with me, that's on the way next.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in from the west. So cloudier skies, especially across the southwest of England, with the odd shower, and then that leads into a more unsettled start on Monday and Tuesday with showers, longer spells of rain, temperatures generally returning to average.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Imagine having an extra £1,000 to spend each week for an entire year. £54,321 in tax-free cash could be yours. Cash to spend however you like. £54,321 in cash could be landing in your bank account this year. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome. It's just coming up to 4 o'clock. This is GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. And for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next few hours, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. In my niggle this week, I'll be talking about greedy junior doctors. They're being warned that they could lose public trust for good if they strike again, as a new poll shows that more people who oppose their walkouts, the numbers are increasing. I've got a poll up on gbnews.com asking you, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? Send me your thoughts and post your comments, gbnews.com/your say.
Many people in your country explained that Brexit would make it possible to fight more effectively against illegal immigration, but it's in fact since Brexit that UK has no migratory agreement with the EU.
Yes, that was Macron earlier, a couple of days ago. Remember the fact that he spoke in French and couldn't be bothered to speak to us in English. Well, he did in the end. But there's protests across the UK calling for the de-prescription of Palestine action. The Met Police say that they've already arrested 46 people. Plus, as the UK is hit by another heat wave, should you be paying more for your water when it's hot? Despite parts of the country facing hosepipe bans, water companies will now use smart meters to increase prices in the summer. And in difficult conversations, I'm joined by the Black Widow herself, who's taken a lie detector. Find out later on in the show whether in fact she was innocent of the crime that she was imprisoned for. But before we get started, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.
Nana, thank you, and a very good afternoon to you. It's just gone 4 o'clock. Let's start with an update then on that breaking news coming to us from London, where we are hearing that 46 people so far have been arrested at a protest taking place in the capital. That protest against Palestine Action's terror group designation. Protesters earlier seen holding signs reading, among others, I oppose genocide, I support Palestine Action, and a number of other banners too. They have been arrested, those 46, for offences under the Terrorism Act. Additional demonstrations today also being held in Manchester and in Cardiff. The group's prescription under the Terrorism Act follows, of course, that £7 million of damage caused to the RAF jets at Brize Norton, linked to the group Palestine Action. We will bring you more on that as those arrests at this stage appear to be continuing throughout this afternoon. In other news, though, Donald Trump has revealed the EU and Mexico are set to face a 30% tariff on imports to the US. He's warning of even higher taxes if countries retaliate, the tariffs set to start on the 1st of August. The announcement came in letters posted to Truth Social earlier, with similar letters also sent to other countries. The president has slammed the EU for its, quote, persistent trade deficits and unfair practices, calling the relationship far from reciprocal. GB News can confirm that more than 1,200 migrants have crossed the Channel since the UK and France signed a new returns deal earlier this week. This morning alone, at least 300 made the attempt, with a Border Force vessel landing in Dover carrying 68 on board. Sources have told us that hundreds more are still in the water, most nearing UK shores. The deal earlier this week was hailed by the Prime Minister as historic, but critics say it's too limited to act as a real deterrent. A new report has revealed the engines on the Air India Flight 171 were cut off just before it crashed, sadly killing at least 260 people. 53 British nationals were on board, headed for Gatwick. Cockpit audio has shown confusion, with one pilot questioning why the other, quote, did the cut-off. Experts, though, say it's nearly impossible for both fuel switches to be pulled accidentally. The sole survivor, a British national, managed to escape through a hole in the fuselage. The airline is fully cooperating with investigators as they analyse flight data. The Department for Transport back here at home has called it a tragic accident and says it will review the authorities' findings. Labour's ties with one of its biggest union backers are under threat, with Unite's boss saying Angela Rayner's behaviour over the Birmingham bin strikes is utterly abhorrent. Sharon Graham claims the Deputy Prime Minister is aiding and abetting fire and rehire tactics and confirmed that Unite has voted to suspend her membership. The union's conference also backed a move to re-examine its entire affiliation with Labour. Angela Rayner, though, has said she actually resigned from the union back in April. The BBC is facing a dilemma over whether to air the next series of MasterChef. It has already been filmed and still has Greg Wallace in it. Wallace apologised for using inappropriate language but denies serious claims of misconduct as 50 more people have come forward. An investigation by the show's producers is underway. Former contestants, though, say shelving the show would be devastating. An update on the situation in the Middle East, and talks between Israel and Hamas are reportedly on the brink of collapse. Negotiators in Doha are accusing Israel of stalling to buy time during Netanyahu's visit to the United States. Palestinian officials say Israel sent a delegation with no authority to Doha to agree on key issues. The proposed deal would see Hamas release half of the living hostages, 20 remain, and some of the dead during a 60-day truce. Mediators, though, warn the process is hanging by a thread. And some brighter news. The Princess of Wales has, in the last hour or so, arrived at Wimbledon. Take a look at these wonderful pictures that are just into us ahead of that fiery women's final between Amanda Anisimova and Iga Swiatek. Last year, Catherine handed the men's trophy to Carlos Alcaraz, and now she's back for more royal tennis magic. And it is a scorcher on centre court, with temperatures set to hit well over 30 degrees. Not quite the record in 1976, but still hot enough for the heat rule to kick in. But the players aren't the only ones feeling the heat. The men's semi-final yesterday was halted twice due to crowd emergencies there. We'll keep across the scores for you, bring the very latest from centre court later this afternoon. For now, though, it's back to Nana.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Thank you, Sam. At 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Greedy, greedy, greedy junior doctors. We should have known that there would be a problem. I get it. They wanted a name change, resident instead of junior. But I think that this signalled a change in the mindset of one of the most compassionate professions on earth, being a doctor. Junior doctors have announced another 5-day strike from the 25th of July, giving only 2 weeks' notice. The last time they did this, over 200,000 hospital appointments were cancelled or rescheduled, and lives were undoubtedly put at risk. I get it. They wanted a pay rise, and I actually wasn't opposed to giving them more the first time round. But over the past 2 years, junior doctors have seen 2 major pay hikes. The first one when Labour came to power of 22.3% to end the strikes, and since then a further 5.4% increase this year, higher than any other public sector worker. The army and police, who can't strike, and teachers are not. But they want this increase to 29% to return them to what they call real terms pay levels. Even though, of course, these doctors have calculated the real terms pay using the Retail Price Index, or RPI, which is rarely used because critics say it is inflationary, which shows that their pay has fallen by 21%, as opposed to using the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which is what we mostly use, which says that their pay has only fallen in real terms by a more realistic 4.7%, which, when compared to the rest of us, shows that junior doctors are fairly relatively well paid. And when you add their extremely generous pension into the mix, where the state, which is us, taxpayers, contribute 27% compared to 3% from the private sector, then the lifetime earnings for doctors is pretty good. Now, there are about 77,000 junior doctors. Only approximately 55% of those eligible voted, and around about half chose to strike, which means that only a third of them voted for the strike action in any case. Now, let's be clear. Many junior doctors work incredibly hard and are brilliant, but others appear not to care about the welfare of their patients and indeed the state of the NHS. I also note that it is the younger doctors calling for the strike action, which has received criticism from the doctors themselves. Health Secretary Wes Streeting said that the BMA was leaving the NHS recovery hanging by a thread, and he called it completely unreasonable. He said, no trade union in British history has seen its members receive a 28.9% pay rise only to immediately respond with strikes, and the majority of BMA resident doctors didn't vote to strike. Well, I say, bring in performance-related pay, reduce the pension contribution from the state, and they are an essential service. Remove their right to strike. Right, so before we get stuck into the debates, here's what else is coming up today. For the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, is it time for Labour to U-turn on the private schools VAT raid? After U-turning on welfare benefits and winter fuel payments with VAT on private schools, should that be next? The Telegraph reveals at least 44 private schools have announced their closure as a result of the hike, disrupting the education of almost 6,000 children. I'll also be asking in the next Great British Debate this hour, should Donald Trump get the Macron treatment? As the US President Donald Trump will reportedly not be allowed to address Parliament in the same way as his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron. So what do you think? And finally, should we be paying more for water? As despite parts of the country being faced with hosepipe bans after record levels of rainfall, water companies are looking to potentially increase the prices over the summer months. All of that coming up. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/yoursay. Right, so I'm joined by crossbench peer Lord Walney. Hello, John. Welcome to the programme. Thank you very much for joining me. So, come on, what do you make of it? What are your thoughts on my niggle? Am I wrong?
Sorry, wait, yeah, there were so many niggles in that introduction. just be specific about which we're talking about here.
Sorry, I can't hear you actually because somebody put the programme in my ear so I can actually hear what John's saying. Yes, so John, so basically, I've been talking about the doctors, the junior doctors, and the fact that I think they're being greedy and that they are striking really. There's going to be a 2-week strike in 2 weeks. They announced it in just 2 weeks, and they are paid quite well anyway. And the fact that the pensions are incredibly generous, and in compared to the contribution made by the state to top up their pension, which is around about 20, I think it's 21%, whereas a private employer would only top up your pension by about 3%. I'm saying that they're incredibly lucky. They've been paid very well, and they're just being greedy.
Yeah, they are. The overwhelming majority of the public will look at this and think that doctors are just taking the mickey. They do work incredibly hard, and they are obviously an essential part of the NHS. But pay rises on this scale are. I mean, it was remarkable that the Wes Street and the Health Secretary put a pay rise on the table that was as big as this anyway. I mean, he risked criticism by others in doing that, and it's a major error, I think, on the part of the doctors to reject it and go for strike action. And I think that this does potentially put their very generous pension settlement into play. And I've looked at the way that Wes Streeting has been handling this so far. He's absolutely right to take the argument to the doctors, not to take any nonsense on this. And I think, look, I think doctors will end up not getting what they want, but the real losers potentially here are obviously the patients who are already looking at a health service which has been run down to the bone in many areas for a range of factors for many years. And this health service simply can't afford the kind of disruption that a strike action could inflict upon it.
Well, we can't afford it, but some people might argue, though, that the doctors should be paid more. They're not paid enough if you compare them to other doctors in other countries. Although if you compare them to other public sector workers, they're paid quite well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, no one disputes that doctors are paid hard, and actually, one of the things that I think we ought to be focusing more on are the conditions that doctors work to ensure that not only is their welfare protected, but also, again, most importantly, the welfare and the safety of patients. Because I mean, there are many horror stories over the years of doctors being worked too hard and making more mistakes because of it. But actually, again, the government is right to say, okay, of course we'll talk to you, but let's talk about your conditions. We simply can't afford to increase even more this already very generous pay settlement at a time when money is so tight in the NHS, and many services are suffering because of that.
All right, but what should they care? Why should they care, though? Because it's, ultimately, they want more money. If the health service is in a bit of a pickle because of COVID and other bad mismanagement by governments and PFI issues and everything else, why should that affect their pay? That's how they'll see this.
No, I understand that, and perhaps, I mean, you can try to appeal to junior doctors' sense of service, that they all came into the profession to give a level of service, and I hope that the vast majority of them don't want to inflict the kind of damage that this is going to cause in the NHS. But even if you're looking at this in a really hard-headed way, I hope that doctors will kind of take a step back and think, we're just not going to take the public with us. In Wes Streeting, I think they have a pretty seasoned negotiator. He's been through the kind of union system where he knows what's possible and he knows how to process an argument. And I think sometimes, I have to say, there is a level of arrogance from the medical profession, because they are incredibly bright people. They spend a lot of their time being treated with a level of reverence within their hospital, and they think they're great at everything. And sometimes that mistakes itself to become a level of faith in their own political acumen, which, if they carry on with this, I think they will discover that actually not in any way in the strong position that they seem to think that they are.
Lord Walmley, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Thank you for your thoughts. Yeah, I mean, look, I happen to agree with them. I think that's there's been a sort of a behaviour shift, hasn't it? And especially, it seems to be a lot of the younger doctors. But joining me, Lizzie Cundy and Fahima Mohammed. Fahima, I've got to come to you. Am I wrong to say that the doctors are being greedy?
Yeah, you are.
Why?
I think that they actually are so squeezed with what they do. They are the smartest, and they are actually going to be turning away to majority of abroad opportunities for that. You have to understand that they are working long hours with conditions that are not necessarily meeting the standards. And maybe, yes, the younger ones are actually now standing up and speaking for the things that they don't. A lot of them have mental health issues. I did a dissertation on this when I was doing my master's, and the fact that they actually are there, working ridiculous hours, long shifts, and the fact that, if they are going to be staying there, then they should actually have the pay to, sort of match that to an extent.
Well, didn't they know that before they joined the job?
No, it's not
No,
like
I think
that.
they did. No, hold on. I knew I knew about this kind of work, and you would go and find out what it's about, which they would have learned. And even I know that junior doctors were very heavily worked and all of that. So you know what you're stepping into, and the remuneration. But the remuneration is quite incredible once you get to a certain level. But you have to go through the fire, which is kind of with most jobs.
Even still, but they're not even lasting that long. It is really ridiculous. It's a broken NHS system with processes which is so backdated and operations that needs upgrading to help them, and that's what they need. And also,
I would agree with that.
Their pay is not really a reflection of the risk that they put themselves into. I think majority of civil service workers should get majority of pay, and that's what makes a country really powerful.
What about then that their pension contribution, which is us, the state, paying around about 27% towards towards their pension, as opposed to a private sector employer will pay about 3% towards your pension. I think it might actually be 21%. I'll get that corrected, but it's still a very high percentage. How about some of that comes down? We don't pay so much, and that can go to increase their salary.
That's not fair either.
No, hold on. I think that is fair.
No.
Why is that not fair?
I don't think so.
So they should have this massive...
No, it's not a massive
No. It needs to be in line with the reality of this world, how it's changed.
They burn out half the time. They have chronic illness because of that. So
could I. So do footballers. So do...
No, it's not the same. Trust me, it's not the same. I have personal friends who are doctors. Majority of them are Iraqi as well. So at the end of the day, we have to understand that people do not understand what it's like to work in those sort of, environment and systems and what it does to them. They have moved out of this country because they're not being looked after the way they need to. And we are running short of skilled professionals.
As you pointed out, the system, the NHS system, is broken. I would agree with you, and that is the reason, really. And if they want to go abroad to a different system, which are usually private-based... Yeah, but those systems are private-based. So it's either that we have a healthcare system that has more private element to it. OK, well, then tell me where they're going, where it's free at the point of need, like it is here, somewhere in the world where these doctors are fleeing.
Well, it's in Australia, it's in Canada,
no, that's not... It's not. They have an insurance system. They have a different system to here. There is a payment system in those ones.
Regardless,
so,
no,
it's not regardless.
Well.
It's not regardless, though, is it? Because that's the difference. The taxpayer paying for them. That's why we're struggling to give them more money. Are you suggesting, then, maybe if they want a better system, if they want more money, we need to change this free of the point of need system? Because in other countries, it's not like ours.
It is not like ours, but I do feel that they deserve much more than what they are.
Yes, but...
I really do believe that.
We all deserve more. We all deserve more.
I tell you what's not fair. I tell you what's not fair. People are going to die. My friend is waiting for an operation that's suffering from cancer, and she is so scared that her operation is going to be stopped, and she has waited and waited. They are supposed to have compassion. That's why they got into this job in the first place. Please don't talk to me about mental health illnesses. My friends are in the armed forces. You get it there. Please. They're not allowed to strike, and I'm afraid I think the same should be for the doctors.
But those operations
OK, well, listen, we'll come back to that, but listen, there's still plenty more time to grab your chance to win the biggest cash prize so far, £54,321. Here are the details you need.
We're here at Down Hall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life, and it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. 23 minutes after 4 o'clock. Have you just tuned in? Where have you been? We start at 3. Actually, you're probably best that you missed the top of the show. It was a bit of a disaster. You're with me, I'm Nana Akua. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. So to come in my difficult conversations, joining me the Black Widow herself. She's taking a lie detector to try and prove whether she was responsible for the fatal shooting of Ron Cook 30 years ago. You will not want to miss the results. We will bring you those just after 5 o'clock. But next, it's time for the Great British Debate This Hour, and I'm asking, is it time for Labour to U-turn on private school VAT?
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Sally first. How can this be good?
I'm not sure if it's good, but I wouldn't say it's bad. I would defend everyone's choice to, if they can afford it, send their child to whatever care facility that they choose. And I think when you're talking about very young preschool children, there's an awful lot of life ahead of them where, you know, they can learn that life isn't always going to shower you with rose petals and tasting menus. If it suits the parents, if it suits the child, why not? And we are talking about a very small sector of society who, A, can afford this sort of option with your preschool childcare, and it's for a very short time. So there's obviously a market for it. They've come all the way over from Singapore to set this up. It's their first outpost in the UK. So, yeah, good luck. If there's a gap in the market, fill it.
I know I'm a mother of 4 and I've got my own business, and even when we sit down for tea at night, I'm still on my phone, I'm still emailing. So for me, it's kind of like, I'm wondering if these parents are working 24/7 and they're trying to offset the guilt because they're really time poor with the kids. I mean, I've got 4 boys and I do think I naturally pamper them, because I don't know about you, Stephen, but when I was growing up, I was constantly told I didn't even know I was born, whatever that means. And so it's like, I think each generation we pamper our kids even more, you know?
But Davinia, when you're sitting down with your kids having dinner, are you giving them a crisp golden spanakopita with refreshing tzatziki, followed by smoky jambalaya studded with free-range chicken and prawns? Or are they getting beans on toast?
Funnily enough, Stephen, that's a no.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, 27 minutes after 4 o'clock. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua, and it's time for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, is it time for Labour to U-turn on their private school VAT raid? After the Labour government U-turned on welfare benefits reform and winter fuel payments, and of course the National Grooming Gang inquiry, the Telegraph has now revealed that the true cost of VAT on private schools. They say that more pressure has been put onto the state. 44, that's only 44, that's quite a lot of private schools announcing their closure as a result of the raid, disrupting the education of almost 6,000 children. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, is it time for Labour to U-turn on their private school VAT raid? Joining me now, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Lizzie Cundy, I'll start with you.
Yeah, totally. I said, when this was announced, I mean, I was on here and I said straight away, this is such a wrong move. It's disrupting, as we said, 6,000 children, 44 private schools having to close, and the cash grab's not happening because this was a policy, I think, of envy. And look, I was lucky enough to go to a private school, but my parents worked so hard. They had 3 jobs. You know, they sacrificed not going on holidays and so forth. And this is what many of the parents do, and they just can't afford this. So now the state schools are so much bigger, more pressure on the state school. They're not getting the money they hope they'd get. 44 private schools closing is a disgrace. And my friend who went to a private school, a great musician, had high hopes, can't go there anymore, and it breaks my heart. It really does.
What's tragic
Stopping
about this?
aspiration and talent.
What's tragic about this is it's a whole ecosystem. So where you close one school, all the businesses around that school that fed off the school are now in peril, and all the teachers within that school have now lost their jobs. And so what this is, it's like when you pop a bit of water and, like you put a drop in water, there's a ripple effect. And I think that they are that stupid, the people who came up with this plan, that they were unaware of the unintended consequences of this, because you can only do this if you have preparations in place for the ripples that are coming out, and they were not prepared. Fahima?
I mean, I can understand why they did that to an extent,
Why do
to
you
actually
think?
send more sort of like money and to the actual state schools, right? But I am actually torn with this, only because I'm going to be biased because of a private sort of matter where my sister sends her 3 children who are in private school, primary level, to private school. So, and there's different levels of wealthy sort of private schools as well. And she's a professional that works very hard, wanting to have these opportunities and now having to think about the extra cost that it might be for her, which will actually hurt, and thinking of going around to the local schools, which you've just mentioned. So it is a shame, because there's different reasons why people send. It's not just elite all the time like Eton. There are different reasons why people send them there, for the opportunities, for the timing even, whatever it may be. But I do see the fact that if we want to have the equality of people coming in, but life is not about that. It's about giving different opportunities to different sectors and different variations of people that can actually do it. And it's nothing illegal to send them to different schools with different opportunities. And I do feel, though, that they should really U-turn on that, because it is hurting and damaging a lot of the local sort of like pupils. We're not forgetting the actual people that are going there.
But imagine being disrupted. When you've got all your school friends there, you're doing really well. You're either really academic or good at something like the music, like my friend's daughter, now pulled out, the whole rug pulled from you.
And of course, the irony of all of this is that Sir Keir Starmer was at a state-type school, and then mid-term or mid his time there, it became a sort of paying school, and the state paid a bursary for him to carry on at that school, so his education wouldn't be disrupted. I find it disgusting. When I listened to Bridget Phillipson talking, how she was talking about, AstroTurf and this and that, a complete lack of understanding of the kind of people who send their children to private school. A lot of them were special educational needs that the state system does not have the facility to cater for. She needs to get a reality check, because they're not even getting the 1.6 billion they thought they would get, because it relied on variables that they couldn't control, which was, of course, the number of people sending their kids to school. As soon as that number deteriorates, it starts going down. As soon as schools start closing, the return is a diminishing return. She won't get the money. And now the 6,500 extra teachers that they said they would promised, and the breakfast clubs, which most people don't really need and nobody's going to, that they've now dampened that down as well. Nobody's talking about it, because this is an absolute
It's a travesty, and you know what? They're hurting children's, they're hurting aspiration. It makes me actually want to cry when I speak to my friend, and her dreams have been shattered.
All right, well, listen, thank you, Lizzie Cundy and Fahima Mohammed. What do you think? gbnews.com/your say. Coming up, though, in my difficult conversations, I'll be joined by the Black Widow herself. She's taken a lie detector to prove that she wasn't responsible for the fatal shooting of Ron Cook 30 years ago. But what will the results be? We'll reveal those just after 5 o'clock. It is, of course, the incredible Linda Calvi. But next, it's time for the Great British Debate. I'm asking, should Trump get the Macron treatment? First, let's get your latest news headlines with Sam Francis.
Very good afternoon, 4:30. The top story this hour. Donald Trump says he is ready to slap 30% tariffs on imports from the EU, starting from the 1st of August. The latest move looks set to disrupt relationships with EU leaders, now warning of possible countermeasures. Here, more than 1,200 migrants have crossed the Channel since the UK and France signed a new returns deal this week. This morning alone, at least 300 attempted the crossing. New details have emerged on the crash of Air India Flight 171. Cockpit audio has revealed confusion as the engines were cut off moments before that crash, sadly killing 260 people. Ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas are on the brink of collapse, with negotiators accusing Israel of stalling. Mediators warn it could fail without urgent American intervention. The Princess of Wales is in the Royal Box at Wimbledon for an afternoon of tennis magic. Today's centre court showdown sees Amanda Anisimova and Iga Swiatek battle it out in a fiery women's final. And it's a scorcher at the All England Club, with temperatures set to hit well over 30 degrees. Elsewhere, wildfires, though, are in place for Scotland and Northern Ireland, with heat disrupting road and rail services. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news at 5.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Good afternoon and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in from the west. So cloudier skies, especially across the southwest of England, with the odd shower. And then that leads into a more unsettled start on Monday and Tuesday with showers, longer spells of rain, temperatures generally returning to average.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back. You're with GB News. I'm Akua. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. It's just gone 38 minutes after 4 o'clock. And it's time for the Great British Debate this hour. And I'm asking, should Trump get the Macron treatment after French President Emmanuel Macron's state visit, where he had the chance to address Parliament? The US President has reportedly been denied the opportunity during his state visit to the UK. Donald Trump is also not expected to visit Buckingham Palace or enjoy a ceremonial carriage ride down the Mall. So the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, should Donald Trump get the Macron treatment? Is this being unfair? Joining me now, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy and political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Fahima, this is terrible. Why should Trump not get the good treatment like Macron?
Well, firstly, he needs to be trialled in a courtroom, not get the sort of like red carpet as far as I'm concerned. Trump.
Why?
He's been found guilty of many cases, even in July 2025, just recently. And at the end of the day, there's a numerous amount of cases, you know, including sexual abuse, including fraud, including so many different things, which, again, these sort of, you know, top people on certain platforms that they get away with. And we were talking about Angela Rayner just a few moments ago. Why shouldn't he also be treated in the same way?
Well, Angela Rayner,
consistent
what do you mean by that?
Her, you know, basically being binned, right? So for Trump, for doing certain things...
to be binned for, you know, basically because of hypocrisy within the union where she's bringing in workers' rights,
well,
and yet
Trump is a criminal. He has to obviously pay for it in the courts and be judged, you know, legally. And I think that these kind of people are given that kind of platform and that stance. What kind of precedent are we setting when we have the hierarchies and leaderships in these kind of roles and you want to set out the red carpet just because why? I don't understand that.
OK, so what happened to Trump, I think, was a lot of lawfare there. But if we do that, then there are a list of people. So, for example, Ed Miliband went to see the leader of China. OK? So what do we do there? Should they get... You know, what are you expecting? Because you have to deal with people that may have done things that you don't like or may have said things that you don't agree with.
But you don't have to give the red carpet.
Well, why not then?
Sort of you
may need...
I know it's statesmanship.
You may need to be diplomatic about it.
At the end of the day, people also, they don't like the fact that, you know, we're dealing with Saudi Arabia.
Of course.
But at the end of the day, you give that. So I really feel that we need to be harder on people that actually have these criminal records. And we talk about sexual abuse, we talk about all of these things about, you know, whether it's from any society and whatever, but with man in a suit, in a certain sort of position, we kind of like brush that under the carpet. Why can't we be consistent?
If we did that and we were consistent, as you say, we would literally be dealing with none of the world leaders. You have to understand that for the greater good.
No,
hold on. For the greater good. OK, well, if you're up for paying, 50% tariffs, then, you know, go for it. Let's be horrible to Trump. I don't agree with that. Lizzie Cundy.
It was Sir Keir Starmer who did that big, unprecedented invite. He was like, you know, yes, Donald, 3 bags full, Donald. Couldn't do enough, Donald. And Donald Trump has been invited for a state visit. He should be so welcomed with welcome arms, and we need him on side. He's just, you know, if you just see what he's given the EU, 30% tariffs. We need him on side. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know why we were like the way we were with Macron, who was so condescending, so arrogant.
He hasn't helped us, has he, when it comes to the boats across the Channel? We've given the French over £800,000 to try and help with the situation. They're not doing anything about it. We've even got footage of them literally just having a laugh at the fact they're not helping us, and we know that they've been partying in a pub nearby or something in France. They're supposed to be, you know, manning the fort and stopping the boats. So why should we give Macron this wonderful welcome when he's not really been that helpful, and yet Donald Trump has given them a 30% tariff, but us 10%? Now, you've got to acknowledge that we need to look after people who are looking after us, especially in a financial manner.
No, I think we need to have a much better, higher standing when it comes to that. And I don't think Trump is going to really change his mind because he doesn't have that. He changes his mind all the time. Look at him and Elon Musk. He used him nicely when it was for the presidency candidate. And then after that, it's just been thrown away.
Well, I think Elon...
people whenever they
Elon
want.
has other issues.
At the end of the day, Trump is not for the UK. He's just for himself. And it's only momentarily. So at the end of the day, we can't really believe that just because we're going to give him the red carpet, he's going to also, you know...
But why did Keir Starmer then invite him like he did? Is he scared? Is he scared what he's going to say in Parliament? Is he scared he's going to do a Zelensky on him and pull down his freebie trouser pants? You know, I'd like to watch that. I'd rather watch that rather than an Oasis concert, to be honest.
I would love to see Donald Trump in Parliament. I'd like to hear him speak. I'd like to hear what he has to say. And I think it's important that we do let world leaders come to this country and speak in Parliament. Yeah. And I don't know how judgmental we can be, seeing as we ain't that great either in terms of some of the politicians that we have who have to be found to be doing disgraceful things. So I'm not sure that if you had the list of people who you're going to get in terms of whether we negotiate or work with them, that there'd be anyone left.
Well, it's not about that. I think even, like I said, if you're thinking about economics and if you're thinking about him actually aiding and helping the UK, that you cannot rely with Trump. He flips.
Can you rely on any of them?
Well,
give me a world leader.
You can welcome them. You can have those business meetings in private. But why insult the public by giving him the red carpet?
Give me a world leader that you could say those great things about and invite here and not have any issues with.
I've always put out that I don't follow anyone and not a fangirl.
So there
anyone.
any, are there?
So there isn't any.
Exactly.
So I think, but at the same time, I think with certain leaders that have been proven to be criminals, they should not be given the red carpet.
Just because somebody hasn't been proven to be a criminal doesn't mean they're not one.
But why did we give it all for Macron? I cannot understand it. Macron gets, Starmer's given him more of the fishing rights, and all it seems is that Starmer's been, stitched up like a kipper, to be honest.
But with all of that, though, ultimately, I mean, what about the fact that he should be good to Macron because we want a decent deal with the EU when it comes to the migrants and everything? It looked like he's been diplomatic, right?
No, I'm sorry. Macron comes over telling us that doesn't like our policies. So arrogant, so rude. No, Nana, and they've done nothing.
Trump
they've
is
taken
more arrogant.
£100 million and done nothing, absolutely nothing to help this crisis. He is just all about himself. And one thing Trump does is looks after his own people, and Starmer could actually take a leaf out of his book.
All right, well, listen, that's their thoughts. What are yours? gbnews.com/your say. I'd love to hear what you think. But if you're in search of some holiday sun, you could possibly stay here. But if you fancy a European destination, here they are.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's hot and sunny for the Greek islands at the moment, and plenty of hot sunshine in southern parts of Spain and Portugal too. But for northern Spain and northern Portugal, a bit more cloud coming in off the Atlantic and some outbreaks of rain possible here. Small chance of a shower in Catalonia as well, but some heavy showers likely over Italy, particularly affecting Rome. There's that sunshine in Greece, which will continue into next week, and the showers in Rome should clear away and temperatures will be rising here into next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racist tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point.
Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, welcome. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. Welcome on board. Now, nothing quite beats a cold shower on a very hot summer's day, but that could soon cost you as companies plan to hike prices during heat waves and hosepipe bans. Surge pricing trials are being introduced for customers with, you guessed it, smart water meters as 15 companies across the country give it a go. It comes as the government backs a nationwide rollout of smart water meters in a bid to reduce water consumption and prevent water rationing. Wouldn't it be great if they could just cut back on all the leaks and actually clean the water properly? Environmental scientist at Bangor University, Professor Christian Dunn, joins me now. Christian, thank you very much for joining me. Look, we would have known eventually that they would use these meters to try and work out who should be paying more or less. But for me, in my mind, it's not the option for the prices to go higher and lower at different times in the year. What are your thoughts on that?
Just like you, I think this was inevitable when this rollout of smart meters came, and the water industry is run by private companies who are looking to make profit. So I think it was inevitable. Do I agree with it? Absolutely not. Do I think the water companies should be doing more to, as you say, cut leaks, but also improve their systems in general? Yes, of course I do. However, I will say that this issue is not just the water company's fault, the water industry's fault. The fact that we have a shortage of water during the dry season, during now when it's hot and dry, is a societal problem because we have done our best to make sure that we are not waterproof for when we have dry or wet times as well. We have flooding when it rains a bit, and we have droughts when it doesn't rain for a while. And that is because, well, one thing, we've destroyed our natural habitats, which were acted as giant sponges across the landscape. I mean, wetlands, the best way of storing water on our landscapes, we've lost 75% of those in 200 years. We've just destroyed them. And that has massively increased in the past 50 years. And we're not putting them back at anything like the speed which we need to. And also as well, simple fundamental issues of the water industry, like not putting in enough reservoirs, not looking at putting in the correct amount of investment to make sure that we can cope with a changing climate and also changing it in our population sizes.
But what about the fact that they're not very good with the water? Like, I don't see why they should be behaving in that manner when at the end of the day, they're not cleaning the water properly, they're bilging out sewage wherever and whenever. They factored in the fines to their profits. They give their money out to shareholders. They have not replenished and improved the infrastructure. And most of them are probably really bust, to be honest. The only reason they probably won't go bust is because we have to carry on paying for them and we'll probably end up subsidising them, but yet they'll continue to be private organisations. Do you think it's about time the water companies were pulled back into public ownership?
That is a really, really interesting point. Should they become under public ownership? I can see arguments for that, and I can also see arguments against that. If they come under public ownership, then they will, unfortunately, the water industry sector will then be vying for funds. Yes, of course, we'll still have to pay, but they'll be vying for funds from the public purse. So that that's defence, that's education, that's a national health service.
Yeah, but people will still pay for the water. We won't get the water free. We'll pay for the water, so they'll have plenty of money because they've clearly got plenty of money from it, which is why they're able to pay their shareholders millions.
I think that's a really good point. However, I would suggest that we have probably not been paying, I know this sounds, we've not been paying enough for our water. That is not to defend the water companies and then putting it into profits, etc. That's absolutely not the right thing to do. But I think what we actually need in this country is a nuanced debate about how we pay for our water. Do we want to pay private companies to do it if they can do it better? Or do we want it to be under public ownership? However, that will potentially, both sides really, if we want it done properly, Because the water industry at the present time, they admit themselves, they're not fit for purpose, they're not what society wants, and they're not what the environment needs. But we do have to have that debate as a society about how we pay and are we willing to pay more. The water industry does a very good job at cleaning our potable drinking water that comes out of the tap. When they don't do that, that's national news, and quite rightly so too. We do a good job at that.
No, but they take advantage of the fact that when there's heavy rainfall, they're allowed to disperse water into the sea, which is what they've been doing for a long time, and they've been flooding it with millions and millions of tonnes of sewage. Listen, Christian, I can talk to you for a long time. We'll have to get you on and do a special on water, but we have to leave it there. That is Bangor University Professor Christian Dunn, who joined me on our discussion. Thank you. Right, you're with me. If you've just tuned in, welcome. Coming up, difficult conversations. Joining me, the Black Widow herself, Linda Calvi. She's taken a lie detector, but what are the results? Stay with me. We'll find out whether she was potentially imprisoned falsely or wrongly. But first, let's get an update with your weather.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in from the west. So cloudier skies, especially across the southwest of England with the odd shower. And then that leads into a more unsettled start on Monday and Tuesday with showers, longer spells of rain, temperatures generally returning to average.
Expect a warm front moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£54,321 cash could be yours. Cash that you could spend however you like. It's like having an extra £1,000 each week for a whole year to play with. Someone is guaranteed to win this amazing amount of cash. So make sure that someone could be you. For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to GB News. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. I'm Nana Akua. And for the next few hours, me and my panel will be taking on some of the big topics hitting the headlines right now. This show is all about opinion. It's mine, it's theirs, and of course it's yours. We'll be debating, discussing, and at times we will disagree, but no one will be cancelled. So joining me for the next hour, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. In my niggle, I talked about the greedy doctors. They've been warned that they could lose public support. Well, you can catch up with my niggle on gbnews.com, which is also where you'll find the poll, where I'm asking, is Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? On his state visit to the UK, President Macron said the referendum result has caused chaos at our borders.
Many people in your country explained that Brexit would make it possible to fight more effectively against illegal immigration, but it's in fact since Brexit that UK has no migratory agreement with the EU.
Protests across the UK are calling for de-prescription of the Palestine Action Group. The Met say police have already arrested 46 people. Plus, as the UK is hit by another heat wave, should we be paying more for our water? Well, despite parts of the country facing hosepipe bans, water companies will now use smart meters to increase prices in the summer. What a surprise. And in difficult conversations, joining me, the Black Widow herself, Linda Calvi. She's taken a lie detector test. She's trying to prove that she wasn't responsible for the fatal shooting of her violent and controlling lover, Ron Cook, 30 years ago. Stay with us. We'll get the results for you in a matter of moments. But before we get started, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.
Nana, thank you. The top story tonight at 5. More than 40 people have been arrested at a protest in London against the designation of Palestine Action as a terror group. Protesters holding signs reading "I oppose genocide" and "I support Palestine Action" were arrested for offences under the Terrorism Act. Additional demonstrations took place in Manchester and Cardiff today. The group's prescription follows £7 million of damage made during an incident at RAF Bryce Norton, linked to the Palestine Action Group. Donald Trump has revealed that the EU and Mexico are set to face a 30% tariff on imports to the United States. He warns of even higher taxes if countries retaliate those tariffs, set to start on the 1st of August. His announcement came in letters posted on Truth Social, with similar letters sent to other countries too. The president has slammed the EU for its persistent trade deficits and called them unfair practices, with a relationship, he says, that is far from reciprocal. More than 1,200 migrants have crossed the Channel since the UK and France signed a new returns deal this week. This morning alone, at least 300 made the attempt, with a Border Force vessel landing in Dover carrying 68 on board. Maritime sources say that hundreds more are still in the water. The deal was hailed by the Prime Minister this week as historic, but critics say it's too limited to act as a real deterrent. A new report has revealed the engines on the Air India Flight 171 were cut off just before it crashed, killing at least 260 people. 53 British nationals were on board that flight, headed for Gatwick. Cockpit audio shows confusion, with one pilot questioning why the other, quote, did the cut-off. Experts say it's nearly impossible for the fuel switches to be pulled accidentally. The sole survivor, a British national, escaped through the holes in the fuselage. The airline is fully cooperating with investigators as they analyse flight data. The Department for Transport here in the UK has called it a tragic accident and says they will review the Indian authorities' findings. Labour's ties with one of its biggest union backers are under threat, with Unite's boss saying that Angela Rayner's behaviour over the Birmingham bin strikes is utterly abhorrent. Sharon Graham claims the Deputy Prime Minister is aiding and abetting fire and rehire tactics and confirmed that Unite voted to suspend her membership. The union's conference has also backed a move to re-examine its affiliation to Labour, a relationship worth hundreds of thousands of pounds each year. Angela Rayner says she actually resigned, though, from that union back in April. The BBC is facing a dilemma over whether to air next series of MasterChef. It has already been filmed and still has Greg Wallace in it. He has apologised for using inappropriate language but denies serious claims of misconduct, as more than 50 people have now come forward. An investigation by the show's producers is underway, and the BBC says it won't comment until the findings are published. Former contestants, though, say shelving that show would be difficult. And the Princess of Wales has arrived at Wimbledon ahead of a fiery women's final between Amanda Anisimova and Iga Swiatek. That game currently underway. Last year, Catherine handed the men's trophy to Carlos Alcaraz. Now she's back for more royal tennis magic. And it's a scorcher on centre court, with temperatures set to hit well over 30 degrees. Not quite the record set in 1976, but still hot enough for the heat rule to kick in. But it's not just players that are feeling the heat. The men's semi-final yesterday was halted twice due to crowds having emergencies. Those are the latest headlines for now. We will bring you the result of that final on centre court as soon as it happens. Now, though, it's back to Nana.
For the very latest GB News direct to your smartphone, sign up to News Alerts by scanning the QR code or go to gbnews.com/alerts.
Sam, thank you, Sam. Right, 6 minutes after 5 o'clock. If you just tuned in, where have you been? It's the last hour of the show. Remember, 3 o'clock. Right, you've probably been enjoying the sunshine. Fair enough. I'm Nana Akua. We are Britain's news channel now. GB News can exclusively reveal that more than 1,200 small boat migrants have crossed the Channel since the Prime Minister and French President Emmanuel Macron signed a migrant returns deal on Thursday. In difficult conversation, stay tuned. Joining me, the Black Widow herself, who's taken a lie detector test to prove whether she was responsible for the fatal shooting of her violent and controlling lover, Ron Cook, 30 years ago. Stay with us, find out what the results of that test said. Did it support her claims of innocence? We'll bring you those results. Then, for the Great British Debate, I'm asking, should water be more expensive during the heat wave? Water companies will impose surge pricing during the heat waves, and hosepipe bans under a new scheme being trialled across the country. What do you think? Greedy water companies alongside the junior doctors? Send me your thoughts, post your comments at gbnews.com/your say. So GB News can exclusively reveal that more than 1,200 small boat migrants have crossed the Channel since the Prime Minister and French President Emmanuel Macron signed a migrant returns deal on Thursday. So at least 300 migrants, I'm so sick of this, aren't you? I mean, 300 migrants attempted the dangerous journey. Of course, it's not that dangerous because you go about, well, I think you go about a mile in and then you get picked up by the RNLI who transport you safely to the UK, so it's more of a taxi service. But yes, at least 300 of them attempted. I'm going to take away the words dangerous. The journey this morning, despite the one in, one out migrant plan to curb Channel crossings, although I'm not sure when that will start. The deal, which is expected to take effect within weeks, will see migrants arriving on small boats returned to France in exchange for asylum seekers who have not tried to enter the UK in that manner. Joining me now, political reporter at The Times, Max Kendix. Max, thank you very much for joining me. OK, one in, one out, so same number coming still. However, we vetted these ones. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this one in, one out thing?
Well, look, it's an agreement that the government wanted to agree with France for many, many years. And actually, the reason that the Rwanda scheme was even started is because the Tories essentially concluded that the French would not be up for this kind of deal. So in a sense, it is impressive that there is a deal at all, but will it even be implemented is the question. We've been told that it will come in the coming weeks, but actually there are lots of legal challenges that could come in the way that could stop things in the next couple of weeks. Again, like we saw with the Rwanda deal, there could be legal cases brought that could halt the whole thing. See, that's what I thought. And the thing is, once they come, so this one in, one out would only work if it was 100% of them. So we're hearing that it'll be around about 6%, so 50 a week. And of course, out of that 50, they can mount legal challenges once they get here. Who pays for the legal challenges? Well, I think it's mostly us. And then they can be housed and everything else like that until they usually pass the challenges and then they end up staying anyway. Do you see... Sorry, go on. Yeah, well, the hope from the government is that unlike Rwanda, France is a signatory of the European Convention on Human Rights, and they're hoping that there'll be less of a legal challenge in that case. But the idea is very similar to Rwanda, actually, at the end of the day. It's meant to be a deterrent. Like with Rwanda, it would be a small proportion of the people who actually arrive here would then not be able to stay here. And the idea is that people would be disincentivized to do that journey. But of course, you've got to consider the fact that these are people who are deciding to make this journey with a lot of risks as they're going along the way before they get into the boats. Really? And when they get to the boats as well.
Do you think there's a lot of risk? I mean, you know, they could have potentially stayed in France or possibly the first safe country they arrived in. They don't have to make it difficult for themselves to stay in a tent for a while until they can get a house in the UK. It's not really. I mean, it's not that dangerous, is it? Let's be honest. You go a little way, and then by the time you get halfway across, we then pick you up and bring you here safely.
I think the point is that if they're choosing to go through this entire process, then is the fact that 1 in 17 of them approximately are going to be sent back to France going to be a massive deterrent for them? And is that going to be an effective policy? And the hope is that this will be rolled out more generally, but France will actually have a bit of a veto on who we are then bringing in from France as well. So it's a tricky agreement, and we don't even know if it will be implemented, never mind rolled out.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen, is it? It's not going to work out. They're not scared of that. They were scared of Rwanda. They're not scared of that. All right, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you, Max Kendix. He is a political reporter at The Times. Lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much. And clean your camera lens as well. Right. Well, it's just gone 11 minutes past 5 o'clock now. This lady is turning a hidden condition into a powerful message. Holly Fleet, known online as Stoma Babe, had life-changing surgery after being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Now she's using social media to raise awareness, fight stigma about stomas, and yes, even help pay the mortgage. Wow. All right, well, I'm pleased to say Holly joins me in the studio now. Stoma Babe herself. She looks fabulous.
As do you. You look lovely.
No, I don't look as good as you.
Oh my gosh, stop.
I need to do the eyes, the makeup, everything. Look at that.
It's not me. I can say I didn't do it myself, so you know.
Talk to me about your condition and how you came to realise it was quite serious, because ulcerative colitis doesn't usually start when you're born.
No.
Something kicks it off. It's an autoimmune condition.
Well, also, a lot of people confuse inflammatory bowel disease with IBS, so with, you know, irritable bowel syndrome. However, IBD is very different to IBS in that it can obviously become very severe and life-threatening in a way that IBS isn't. And also, it isn't anything to do with food. So they actually don't know clinically what the cause is of inflammatory bowel disease yet. But they think that we are all kind of born with a gene that is somehow triggered. They're not sure kind of what the triggers are, but it could be environmental, it could be through diet, anything like that. But there's no proven clinical cause yet of why people get Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, which are the two forms of inflammatory bowel disease. I have ulcerative colitis, so that just impacts the colon and the rectum. And Crohn's disease is the entire digestive tract, so all the way from the throat, all the way down. And, yeah, they are very debilitating conditions.
Yeah, because I know somebody who has ulcerative colitis and it is not nice.
Yeah, it's really...
It's really unpleasant. It's all sorts of things going on there, which, you know, nobody, you really wouldn't want to have to deal with that. And the thing is, it's one of those hidden disabilities that people may not realise that you actually need to be near the toilet all the time. And when did you realise that there was a problem? How old were you? And
I mean,
what happened?
I was actually quite late in terms of when the symptoms started for me. I have a younger brother. He's not that young anymore, 28 now, but he first was diagnosed with Crohn's when he was 17, so he's a few years younger than me. And obviously our family never heard about this type of thing before because, you know, it's not something that's mentioned that often, Crohn's and colitis. They're called, you know, hidden disabilities because if you look at somebody, you can't see how ill they are. And also, a lot of people don't like to talk about them because they involve poo, and nobody likes to talk about that, unfortunately, but we do need to talk about that. It's really important we talk about that. So I started getting symptoms, I think I must have been around 24, but it wasn't anything too serious. It was kind of like I just felt constipated or I felt funny after a meal, I felt a bit of pain, nothing like extreme. But then as time went on, the symptoms over the next few years just kept getting worse. And then eventually I got diagnosed in 2021 with 2020, with ulcerative colitis, and then, a year later I was having a stoma bag, so it went very quick.
Went very quickly there, because I know somebody who's had ulcerative colitis and he's living with it. It's not great, but he hasn't got a stoma.
Yeah.
So you were told you had to have a stoma. Were you... I suppose that some part of it you might have been slightly relieved, because does it help to alleviate symptoms? How does it help?
It's such a mixed bag. I think because, for me, particularly in my case, it was an emergency stoma bag, so I had no time to emotionally prepare, research it. It was like, you're going down to theatre, you're dying, we're taking everything out.
Dying? What happened?
I was already in hospital for 2 weeks prior to having the emergency op. They basically tried to save my colon by giving me like a chemotherapy type treatment called infliximab. It's like the strongest treatment they have on the market for colitis, and it wasn't working. And basically, my bowel was on the verge of perforating, which would have meant I would have died. So they said, we have to give you a stoma bag. And I was like, hang on a second here. Like, you know, what's a stoma bag? Like, I don't know what that is.
Was that ever on the table to have a stoma bag? Or did anyone talk to you about it?
No, I mean, a year earlier when I got diagnosed with colitis, they said to me, oh, it's just a mild form, you'll be completely fine. They said, you're not even going to have any strong treatments. Like, you know, you won't even notice you've got it. And then as time went on, and it was during the pandemic as well, so obviously it was really hard to, you know, see face-to-face the doctors. I was kind of living with it at home, and I was also working during that time as well. I work from home, so thankfully I could still work, but I was in the toilet because I work as actually a journalist, but I was on the toilet with my little laptop all day and I wouldn't leave the toilet. I just be typing all day. Yeah.
That's pretty awful.
And that's the horrendous nature of it. But, yeah, I didn't know anything about a stoma bag, but it has changed my life for the better now, I can say. Yeah, I honestly, I would never go back to how things were. Never, ever.
What are the benefits to you now?
Just that I'm not on the toilet all day bleeding, you know, from the back end.
Yeah, no,
it's so funny. Unfortunately, there's no, polite way of talking about it because it is a very graphic disease. And that's why so many people do actually live in silence and don't go to the doctor when they're having these symptoms because they feel embarrassed. So I know, you know, even older people will not go to see the doctor because they're like, I don't want to have anyone looking at me and touching that area and stuff. So, you know, because it is very personal. So, yeah, I mean, it's something that isn't talked about that much. But for me, I've never felt embarrassed about that type of thing at all. I've always been very open. And that's why people follow me on social media, is because I'm extremely open and very frank and honest. I show very much the nitty-gritty parts that a lot of people don't ever show about this stuff. But, you know, we're all human and we all go to the toilet. in different ways. I go through the front and some people go through the back.
Some people may find some of this a bit distressing, so, but just to be warned, I mean, obviously, you know, or some people might be eating or whatever it is.
Oh,
but,
yes. Oh, yes. I forgot we're just around tea time,
well,
so...
coming up to that time. But no,
yeah.
But it's important to get this message across. So you are stoma babe. How long ago did you have the stoma in?
So that was that was the end of 21. I was in hospital for a total of 7 weeks during that time because it was an emergency op. People aren't usually in for that long when they have a stoma bag, but because everything inside was so bad and so inflamed, when I came round from the operation, like, because I was already pretty much dying, they kind of were having to sort of, like, bring me back to life. And it took weeks. And to get the stoma to even work, it wasn't working at first. So I was, I was vomiting out of my mouth because I couldn't eat. So, you know, like I was being sick. And, yeah, it took a long time to recover. But I came out in 2022, basically. And then I had a second operation that year to make the bag permanent. Because a lot of people, you don't have to make it permanent always. Some people never choose what they want to do with it.
What does that mean, making it permanent?
I should explain that. So, so there's different types of stomas as well. So there's a colostomy and there's an ileostomy, which I have, and they're two different, and there's also urostomy, which is for urine. But I have an ileostomy, and sometimes they can be reversible and sometimes they're not reversible. And it really depends on the organs that they take out, whether you can reverse it or not. So if they reverse it, they will then, it's amazing what they do, but they will take the intestine that's pulled out. So I have my small intestine pulled out and it's an ileostomy. They will take the intestine and put it back inside and sort of reconnect it up so you're able to go to the toilet from your other end again, which is like, a lot of people do choose to do that, but I chose to make mine permanent and to keep the bag for life.
Why?
Yeah, I know, and so many people always say that to me, like, why, you know, because they see me, they think young, and like, oh, God, it must be so awful that she lives with a stoma bag. But actually, you know what, once I got my head around everything, psychologically, and I came to a place of acceptance with it, and I started to also do some research into, you know, what was the best outcomes in my situation? Was it better to get rid of the bag, or was it better to, you know, reverse it? And actually, when I did a lot of research myself, I realised for my particular condition, which is ulcerative colitis, if I had reversed my stoma and connected everything back up inside, I could have then ended up with something like Crohn's disease, and I would have been back basically to step one again, because basically that area is just should be out of business for good. It should never be used.
Can you have children?
I've got a daughter. I've got how old is she now? Everyone lost me out. She's 21 months. It's that sort of funny age where you don't know.
Did you carry the baby?
Yes. So that's on my social media, my TikTok, and obviously that's interesting to a lot of people because it's not something that you see every day. Somebody who's pregnant with a stoma bag. But yeah, I conceived, it's actually funny because I had my second operation to remove my rectum, my rectal canal. So everything got sewn up down there. I had that done, and then I think it was literally 6 months later that I got pregnant. I wasn't really planned in the traditional sense, but I also didn't know if it was possible because there isn't loads of information about people having babies with stomas. So you kind of think like, oh, is that something that's even possible? But yeah, actually 6 months later, I got pregnant, had a very healthy pregnancy. There was no complications, but yeah, everybody is different, of course.
That's wonderful, really pleased. So it's turned out good for you. And the ulcerative colitis, we've got about a minute left.
Yeah, of course.
The ulcerative colitis, does that mean that it has subsided because it can't attack anything?
Right, yeah, so because, as I was talking about earlier, with Crohn's and colitis, they're both different. So with the colitis, it is the colon and the rectum, and I now have no colon and I have no rectum anymore. So I basically have the two parts that can get inflamed removed. So I don't suffer from symptoms of colitis anymore. But, you know, obviously having a stoma has its own unique challenges, which is something that I share with my followers, you know, having leaks, getting supplies. When you forget your supplies, you have a leak in public. What do? It's embarrassing. But I try to make light of it, and I try to make it in a way that people feel empowered to live their lives and make the most of it, right?
Well, listen, Holly, if people want to follow you on socials and stuff, where do they go?
Oh, they go to @StomaBabe on Instagram and TikTok.
Ah, lovely. Thank you very much. That is the brilliant Holly Fleet, Stoma Babe herself, giving you her story. Very inspirational. Thank you very much, Holly, for coming in. Right, well, there's still plenty of time to get your chance to win the biggest cash prize ever, £54,332, £321 even. Here are the details that you need.
We're here at Downhall in Essex to enjoy the finer things in life. And it's your chance to win £54,321 in cash. It's like having an extra £1,000 in your bank account each week for a whole year, which means that you'd be able to indulge in treats whenever you wanted to. That extra cash each week could send some of those day-to-day financial stresses packing this year to enable you to sit back, relax and do nothing. Make sure you don't miss out on our biggest cash giveaway to date.
For another chance to win £54,321 cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB14 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 1st of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, so coming up, difficult conversations. Joining me, the Black Widow herself. She's taken a lie detector test. You will not want to go anywhere to find out the results. Stay tuned.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
On this day, 4 years ago, GB News was born, launching our first live broadcast on June 13th, 2021. Let's take a look back at some of our earlier memories.
If you've just switched on, a very warm welcome to you. I am Alistair Stewart, and until 3 p.m. this afternoon, I'll be keeping you company, along with friends and, I hope, friendly guests. I hope you'd agree that we've had a strong hour of debate and discussion so far, but there's lots more still to come. GB News is all about you, our viewers. Any burning questions or stories that you think we need to cover, no matter how big or small, we really do want to hear from you.
Well, we can now speak with former GB News presenter Alistair Stewart. Alistair, thank you so much for joining me. Thinking back to 4 years ago, what did you think the channel's prospects were? Did you think it would be a success?
I did. Thank you so much for having me on, and a very happy birthday to you, one of the many brilliant faces, as we call it in the trade, presenting programmes, but also to the absolutely wonderful team of technicians that you've got behind you, making sure that this all gets on air very smoothly. And we've not only hung on in there, but we've now got GB News Radio as well. Online, we're huge. We get quite good numbers on viewing, very, very good numbers on listening, well ahead some of the other competitors. I do remember when Murdoch launched Talk, there were quite a few people in the newsroom who were nervous, not because they were so good, but because Murdoch had so much more money than we did. We've seen them off. They're virtually dead in the water now, and we are thriving, celebrating 4 years of triumphal and brilliant journalism.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, good afternoon. 27 minutes after 5 o'clock. If you've just tuned in, where have you been? We started at 3. I'm joking. joking. You're here now. That's good. I'm Nana Akua. Welcome. This is GB News. We are Britain's news channel, and it's time now for this week's difficult conversations. Now, this lady was once Britain's longest-serving female prisoner, dubbed the Black Widow. Now, East End crime writer Linda Calvey is using her voice to help others behind bars. Her book, Life Inside, doesn't just reveal what it's like to share a wing with the likes of Rose West and Myra Hindley. It also opens with a heartfelt tribute to another inmate, Jason Moore. Now, Jason, who was jailed for murder in 2013, continues to maintain his innocence, and Linda says that she 101% believes him. Well, I'm pleased to say that I'm joined in the studio by Linda Calvey, best-selling crime writer and former prisoner. Also with me is Kirsty Moore, Jason's sister, and Julian Hardy, Linda's solicitor, who specialises in challenging wrongful convictions. Right, well, Linda Calvey, let's talk about it.
Can I firstly just give you, this is my new book that comes out on Thursday. It's called Hope. It's the second of a trilogy.
OK.
And it is based on what I know, the sort of underworld, but that's a copy for you.
Oh, well, thank you. Have you signed it?
Of course I did.
Oh, you have. Says to Stephen and Anna, we've got to share it with him. I'm teasing.
Now, unfortunately, the lie detector guy couldn't come today.
OK.
He did do a little video saying that I am innocent and it's proved. But for some reason, it couldn't come onto the screen. They've had trouble to do it.
Oh, that's a real shame, because I'd have liked to have seen that.
Yes.
So what happened? So you did the lie detector test.
Yes.
What are the questions that he asked you? How did it come up and show up?
It took an hour, and it was eye detect. So you sit looking at a computer, and your chin's fixed on, and there's little points that look into your eyes, and they do it through your eyes. And I passed 94% out of 99. And he said over 55 is accepted as credible and truthful. And he said it is so rare for anybody to get 94.
And that was the question as to whether you murdered your husband?
The questions that came up were, did I murder Ron Cook? Did I shoot Ron Cook? Was I involved in the murder in any way?
The answers were all no.
All the answers that I gave were truthful answers.
Which you answered no?
Yes.
Presumably.
And the results were that I was innocent.
But you spent time in prison. How long were you in prison?
I was in prison 18 years.
18 years.
In fact, I mean, the judge in the beginning said 7 years. And he put his hands out and said, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. Just refer you straight to the full Court of Appeal, which we did, but I ended up, because I would not say I did it, I ended up doing 18 years. And Julian can explain a little bit more about why that went on so long.
Yeah, so every time a parole hearing would come up, there were a number of issues. One, Linda had never admitted to a crime, so that held her back, and also a book had been written about
while
her,
I was away,
which the parole board felt associated her with the criminal fraternity.
Who wrote the book?
It was Kate Cray. And each time that they would say that showed her links with the criminal fraternity, which obviously we argued against because the book was never going to go away, so they couldn't have that argument each time. And again, obviously, in the end, they relented and we managed to get her out on parole, but it was after she served a significant amount of time.
18 years.
18 years. For a potential crime that you say you didn't do, and the lie detector appears to show that you are telling the truth when you say that.
Yeah.
But there are obviously others behind bars. What about you, Kirsty, your brother, Jason?
Yeah, so Jason's doing a life sentence for something he hasn't done, as we know, and yeah, this is just another example how the system gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Of course, though, you know, has there been evidence to prove that he's not done it? I mean, will he take a lie detector test or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not... I don't think it's something that the UK really recognises. I mean, the US does.
America would accept a lie detector test in court.
Why would America accept lie detector? Why don't we accept lie detector evidence in court?
it's not admissible evidence. I think that there's scientific dispute that makes it unreliable. And I think that's why in certain courts it's acceptable, but not in criminal courts. It would be inadmissible. So it's not accepted. And I can't see actually how that, anytime that's going to change. So why, obviously, it's comfort for people that support Linda. I'm not sure from overturning a wrongful conviction how that would assist us.
So Linda, now you have this lie detector evidence. It's not admissible in court in a way or used in this country in any way to help vindicate you. How do you want to use that in terms of...
I mean, the main thing is, obviously, for my children, my family, my brothers and sisters, they've sort of been given the stigma of, oh, your sister's a murderer, your mum's a murderer. Well, they've now got that they can say, no, my mum's not a murderer, she did a lie detector test, and they said it's totally credible and she didn't commit that crime. And I think for that reason alone, because I know a lot of people would go, oh, why would you want to talk to a murderer? Why would you give airtime to a murderer? I'm not a murderer. And I did 18 years, and I said every day I did not commit this crime. Even on the day that I actually did get my parole, I still said I did not commit this crime. And Julian has gone through all my parole hearings, and bless him, he done it pro bono for me. That's how much he did think about me, really.
Just got to remember, people are going through the system, so they're fighting their convictions while they're in prison as well. It shouldn't take that you have to do the whole amount of time and then try and fight your conviction, because the process is just... The system just won't admit it's got it wrong. And, you know, we've got innocent people fighting and they're ended up doing, like, 18 years. I mean... It shouldn't be that way. No. The system should recognise it makes mistakes and let them be fixed, not protect themselves and people have to stay in prison.
Well, they even have something where if somebody's been wrongfully imprisoned, that you have to pay for the rent of the time that you're in the prison.
Which is a double insult.
What an insult.
I mean,
they put you in there when you shouldn't be there.
I think Andrew Malkinson shouldn't have had to wait until he'd done the whole of his sentence to then try and clear his name. And then this is what it's about. People are labelled and, you know, they then have to go on and try and clear their names.
So for your
the system should work, shouldn't it?
For your brother, how much longer is he meant to serve and how long has he served?
Well, 13 he served and it's 18 recommended.
So he won't be... so there's no chance for parole before that time?
No.
That's tragic, isn't it? It really is. Especially if you say he didn't do it, he said it, and there's no other way. What's the next thing for him?
Well, we're at the CCRC, like we said before, and we're just waiting.
What's CCRC for?
Criminal Case Review Commission. You know, it's been 19 months, and when we were here before, Nana, you know, 19 months and no action, and the bishop knocked twice.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable, isn't it?
And we're still waiting. Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody would say, we all know there's people that have gone to court, stood in court, guilty as hell, they've got not guilties. And I think everybody would go, oh, yeah, that happens. But you find a lot less people will go, well, an innocent person went to prison. Whether it's an uncomfortable thought that an innocent person has gone to prison, I don't know. But... that is actually the fact in my case. But I'm just glad that I've got this paperwork that states that I am credible and he has stated his reputation.
And is he a good lie detector person as well?
Oh, yes, apparently. No, he's apparently one of the top people. It's one of the top lie detectors from America, one of the latest.
Yeah, no, look, I see a lot of these sort of things happening. I actually believe you. I believe you. I believe in Jason's case as well. Julian, finally with you, what can they do? Where's the next step for, in particular, Kirsty and her brother? What can they do?
I've only just actually been instructed in Kirsty's case, so I'm actually at a new stage in relation to that. But in relation to Linda, unless actually we could get some evidence that we could put before the... Again, refer back to the Criminal Cases Review Commission.
There's not much.
Then the lie detector test results are something that I think can be a comfort blanket for Linda and her
and my
supporters, but
family.
it's not
Yeah.
going to change the conviction.
Yeah, well, at least you've got that, Linda. Thank you very much for telling us that.
Thank you.
So Linda Calvi, according to the lie detector, did not murder her ex-husband, apparently, but you still spent 18 years inside
did.
for it. And Kirsty, we wish you luck
Thank
helping your brother and whatever you need to do.
And I hope you'll enjoy your book.
Yes, Linda Calvi, her new book, Hope.
Comes out on Thursday.
Out on Thursday, so we got the exclusive from
You
Linda Calvi
have.
on her new book, Hope. There you go. And briefly, very briefly, Linda, what is it about? We've
It's
got about 30 seconds.
3 generations of women that have had the hard knocks in life. Starts with the grandmother when she's 16, goes to her daughter, and then goes to the 3 children, who are Faith, Hope and Charity.
Interesting.
And Hope is the second of this series.
All right, Linda Calvi. I can't wait to read it. That's the fabulous Linda Calvi. Also, Julian Hardy, solicitor, and Kirsty Moore, fighting for her brother, who's currently inside for a crime that she says that he's innocent of. 38 minutes after 5 o'clock. If you just tuned in, welcome on board. This is GB News, VR Britain's news channel. We're live on TV, online and on digital radio. Still to come, should water be more expensive during heat waves? Flaming cheek. You'll hear the thoughts of my panel, Lizzie Cundy and Fahima Mohammed. But first, let's go for a break. We'll be back in a short moment.
Good afternoon and welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in from the west. So cloudier skies, especially across the southwest of England with the odd shower. And then that leads into a more unsettled start on Monday and Tuesday with showers, longer spells of rain, temperatures generally returning to average.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
41 minutes after 5 o'clock. Welcome. If you just tuned in, well, it's OK. Next time, remember, it starts at 3. See Nana Nicey here. And also, it's really nice weather, so I get it. But it's time now for the Great British Debate this hour. I'm asking, should water be more expensive during heat waves? Because it's hot, hot, hot. Water companies will impose surge pricing. just like if you're going to an Oasis concert during heat waves, which is probably a good track for them, they could probably create that, and hosepipe bans under the new scheme being trialled across the country. 15 firms will now charge customers with their water usage depending on time of year. So for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, should water be more expensive during heat waves? Joining me, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy and political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Fahima, what do you think?
Water is a human right, not a luxury. And I think we need to charge these companies and for their mismanagement as well as everything else. And to charge like low-cost, low-income families, it should be more with these industries and sort of golf courses instead of people just or children just trying to play in order to just cool themselves off. And I think this hike in constant, rising in prices, whether it's gas, electricity, now water, it's ridiculous. They need to sort themselves out and they need to actually, home in on what is the problem that they have to take responsibility for and constantly pushing it onto the public. And it's just ridiculous the amount of overpricing and overpayments that everyday people are having to suffer, and we're not in a third world country. We should have had this sorted out.
Well, you'd think the way they're doing it and the way they've been doing stuff that we are, but the bottom line is the people who get affected by this most are the people with larger families, of course, because they're going to use more because they get more people, and often those are the less well off.
It's totally unfair, Nana.
It's a joke.
It is a joke. It's a disgrace. And, why haven't the government intervened? When was the last reservoir built? I'll tell you, 30 years ago in 1992. It's a total disgrace. And you know what? There are leaks, Victorian pipes that are just, wasting money. Why should we be always paying the price? And you know what? It's going to get hotter. We've got much lovelier weather coming our way. We've got the good old taxpayers got to do it once again.
I think it's an utter shambles that these water companies should be getting away with that. And the fact that they're now... I'm not surprised, to be honest. I hadn't anticipated that they'd try and go, oh, well, because it's hotter, we're going to raise the price now, so it's going to be... Imagine that. It would be like when you get an Uber. 1 minute it's 30 quid, next minute it's 70 quid. I think this is very dangerous, giving these people that sort of power. I would want water to come. Water needs to come back to public ownership. There is no excuse. They were given all the bonuses that they got. They paid each other off. They gave themselves massive bonuses for complete failure. They paid pathetic fines, knowing full well that it was worth it because in the end they could do whatever they liked. And every time there was a little bit of rainfall, they just flooded the rivers with sewage. It's just disgusting.
It's absolutely horrific. And I think that we need to understand that when it's capitalism and when it's certain governments that are not actually taking responsibility for even looking at for everyday people and the basics of water, of all things, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's like, oh, if it's too little snow, a bit of leaves, a bit of, rain, and then it's the heat. What else? It's just always excuses. Everything. There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse in the UK for every single thing. Like, so many different countries across the globe, they have the same, whether it's climate change or weather or water or whatever it is.
But
we have to pay the price.
Anything.
It's all about money.
Why can't they build a reservoir? Why haven't they done anything? Why are the pipes leaking? We've got a beautiful little canal where I live, full of sewage. You can't even let your dogs go in there.
It's terrible. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. And I'm just shocked that the water companies have the audacity to expect us to pay when we're using more in a heat wave with surge pricing. Utter madness. I wouldn't want them to have control of it. Although others may have a different opinion. gbnews.com/your say. But if you are looking to leave this country, I don't know why. The sun is gorgeous and here are some of the top European destinations.
You're looking happy.
Well, the forecast looks good.
So you've sorted the travel insurance then?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
It's hot and sunny for the Greek islands at the moment, and plenty of hot sunshine in southern parts of Spain and Portugal too. But for northern Spain and northern Portugal, a bit more cloud coming in off the Atlantic and some outbreaks of rain possible here. Small chance of a shower in Catalonia as well, but some heavy showers likely over Italy, particularly affecting Rome. There's that sunshine in Greece, which will continue into next week, and the showers in Rome should clear away and temperatures will be rising here into next week too.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome, I'm Nana Akua. This is GB News, Britain's news channel. It's time now for our quick fire quiz. This is the part of the show where I test my panel and indeed you at home on some of the other stories hitting the headlines right now. So joining me, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy. Your buzzer, please, Lizzie. And also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. Your buzzer, please. And don't forget, please play along at home. Question 1. Remember to answer whether it's A, B or C and say what it is. And don't buzz till I've finished. Question 1. Which Formula 1 team announced the shock departure of its boss? Was it A, Red Bull, B, Ferrari or C, McLaren? Lizzie Cundy.
A, Red Bull.
Let's have a look. Indeed, she is right. It is Red Bull. After 20 years of team principal Christian Horner was released of his duties at Red Bull. Did you know that one, Fahima?
No. I suppose of Jerry Halliwell.
I know. Is he still with her, though?
Yes.
Ah, I think Lizzie knows something we don't. Lizzie knows everything.
My lips are sealed.
Question 2. Which royal residence hosted Emmanuel Macron's state visit in the UK? Lizzie Cundy.
Windsor Castle.
Press your buzzer, Fahima. Yes?
Yes. Windsor Castle.
She might be wrong. Sometimes she says things like that.
I do. I sometimes try and play a game.
She says it really confidently and then people believe it. Oh, God. Somebody sprayed something. It's gone right back.
It's my perfume, sorry.
Question 3. Closest answer wins. The newly opened Legoland resort in Shanghai was built using how many Lego bricks?
Oh.
Press your buzzer. How many?
100,000?
100,000. Lizzie Cundy.
1 million.
1 million. Excuse me. 85 million. China's first Legoland resort has been described as the largest in the world.
Wow.
85 million to the closest 3-0. Fahima, you cannot win, but please carry on. Question 4. True or false? AI band of the Velvet Underground have racked up more than 1 million listeners despite not being real.
True. True.
Why would you say that? Just say false, just in case she's wrong. What's wrong with you?
That might be bluffing.
She doesn't.
She's right, though.
How do you know?
She's probably right.
She probably isn't. I'll take your answer as false. Let's see if she's right. No, it's true.
See, I knew it.
No, but she doesn't.
I do bluff it quite a bit.
Yes, it is true. Despite releasing 2 albums, the Velvet Sundown were revealed to be completely AI-generated.
Incredible.
Final question. Which luxury fashion brand broke records after one of its handbags sold for $10 million at auction? Was it A, Dior, B, Chanel or C, Hermes?
Hermes?
OK, Lizzie Cundy?
I was going to say Hermes, but I'll go Dior.
I have to take your first answer, but it doesn't matter. If she's right, then it doesn't matter. This is Hermes, the first Birkin bag ever made. Once owned by Jane Birkin, became the most expensive handbag ever sold at auction for $10.1 million. Yes.
A handbag for a handbag?
A handbag for a handbag. Whoa. Unbelievable. Yes, 10 million. Right, well, listen, for the big debate question today, I've been asking, is Emmanuel Macron right that Brexit is to blame for the migrant crisis? Well, according to our GB News poll, 5% of you said yes, 95% of you said no. No, it's not because of Brexit.
Take that, Macron.
Exactly. Thank you so much, what like his wife did to him. Or was that another one? No, that was him, wasn't it? Thank you so much to my panel, broadcaster and columnist Lizzie Cundy, and also political commentator Fahima Mohammed. And, of course, as ever, thank you to you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place. That's 3 o'clock. Be there or be square. But up next, it's the Saturday 5.
Oh, hello. Hello, everybody. The Saturday 5 looks a little bit different, doesn't it, this week? We've got Jonathan, Liz here, Lucy White, and Bruce is making his debut here. We've got some huge topics. There's a coup happening in the courts. I'm going to tell you why you should be terrified of that. We'll be talking about class warfare, how it's destroying education, should there be consistency in free speech, and does Islamophobia exist? All coming up after the weather. I'll see you all very soon.
A positive outlook through the night. Power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage. Sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good afternoon and welcome to a GB News weather update from the Met Office. Well, it's going to be a very hot weekend to come with strong summer sunshine out there, but always some low cloud just lingering in the east. So a ridge of higher pressure is extending across the UK, keeping things settled with low pressures out towards the east and west. So plenty of late evening sunshine out there for many of us. The odd shower maybe across the far west of Northern Ireland, but otherwise later we'll see the return of this low cloud from the North Sea push its way further inland. So cloudier skies expected more widely, especially across the southeast, but a warm night to come. Temperatures not dropping far below 16 or even 18 or 19 degrees. So that leads to a warm start to Sunday, a bit more cloud in the forecast, and that cloud will just linger across coastal areas as we start Sunday morning. Best of the sunshine across western Scotland to start. Northern Ireland, fine, dry. Plenty of wall-to-wall sunshine, and likewise for the majority of Wales and the southwest of England, but cloudier skies across eastern areas to start Sunday morning. So as we go through Sunday, like I said, there will be a bit more cloud in the forecast compared to Saturday. We may even see some showers just bubbling up across northern parts of England, perhaps even parts of Wales as we go through the afternoon. But many of us still seeing bright or sunny spells out there. It may not be as hot as Saturday, but temperatures still climbing widely up to 29, possibly even 30 degrees. Now, a bit of a change comes into store as we go later on into Sunday as low pressure starts moving in